down the Braves 7-3. Keith Rad to call Odyssey Mets Radio. Clay Holmes allowed just one run over 5. Mets winning for just the second time in the last 12 games. Yankee bats finally able to break out, pounded out 13 hits, erased the Reds 7-1. Jazz Chisholm went deep. Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham each with 4 hits. All in support of Max Fried, who gave up just one unearned run over 7 with 7 Ks for his league-leading 10th victory. NBA draft, no surprise. Cooper Flagg goes number 1 overall to the Mavericks. Dylan Harper second to the Spurs. His Rutgers teammate Ace Bailey 5th overall to the Jazz. For the Nets, they took Yegor Demon number 8, then went Nolan Traore at 19, Drake Powell 22 out of North Carolina, and they still have picks at 26 and 27. 86 degrees, cloudy skies, Tetra Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
It's AM to AM.
Yeah. Okay. Feels good to win. I'm a sore loser. I don't like losing. We've got 2 wins to talk about tonight. The Yankees win. The Mets win. Put it in the books. Did the Nets win? We'll talk about the Brooklyn Nets and who they chose in the NBA draft at some point. We'll talk about that White Sox fan and Ketel Marte, and we'll talk about the Tampa Bay Rays. Not so much about how great they've been playing as of late, but where they will be playing if they keep it up. And there's a couple more things in my notes, but dial 888-808-1019. We got to talk about the Mets. We got to talk about the Yankees. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. They were twinning tonight. They had the same score at the same time twice again, and at least we don't have to feel the way we've felt these last couple days and weeks here. It was a get-right night. You better get right. Citi Field, fireworks night. Rookie pitcher on the mound making his second start, I think. Didier Fuentes. You have to get right. The Mets win their first game against the Braves since, I don't know, game 162 last year, 2024. So we get to exhale, have a nice, relaxing night, watching baseball, watching runs being scored. And maybe you were watching the draft as well, watching some young guys, dreams come true entering the NBA. Now, with the Mets, the star of the show, and stay tuned for the big shot of the night, is the generational Juan Soto. Juan Soto's got 10 homers in June. He's putting up stupid numbers in June. I told y'all, right? Juan Soto was going to turn back into Juan Soto. Juan Soto was going to make a push for the All-Star game. It was only a matter of time till you get a return on that investment. Many of us had our fun laughing and mocking the Mets, laughing and mocking Juan Soto. Is he happy? What's wrong with him? Does he miss Judge? Does he miss Yankee Stadium? He just needed the weather to get right, his swing to get right. And now that's another 2-homer game. I think he's got 27 of those in his career. And when you see Juan Soto playing like this, it's just a reminder, like, this guy's 26 years old. He's one of the premier players in the game. That is why you overpay him. That is why you give him a suite, give his mom a clothing allowance, because he can put a performance on like that. And when you go see it live, they raise that apple and you're like, hey, we got him. He's ours for the next 15 years. 888-808-1019. Juan Soto is back to being Juan Soto. You can say he's back. His numbers in June alone, he's looking like the best player in baseball. Yes, better than Judge. Judge is having a down June. Maybe you could throw Cal Raleigh up there, I guess. But no, Juan Soto, all things considered, he is doing it. And tonight the Mets started doing it with young Ronnie Mauricio. And it's funny because Mark Vientos is looming. So Ronnie's like, hey, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay. I want to stay right here. He goes deep. He hits the wheels on the bus, uppercut coming around first. And Brett Beatty did his thing too. And not for nothing, Brett Beatty has been contributing. And will it be Brett Beatty sent down? Will it be Ronnie or Mauricio sitting down? I don't know the answer to those questions, but good problems to have tonight. In that fourth inning, the Mets had their way. In that fourth inning, the Mets asserted themselves. The Mets looked the Braves in the eye and said, no, we're here. We're here to battle. We're not going to fold. You're not beating us tonight. Enough is enough. You're not going 6-0 against us. And they did everything in that inning. And that was after Drake Baldwin had tied it with a solo shot where you're like, okay, Clay Holmes getting to like 60-something pitches. Are you going to fold? No. Juan Soto returns the favor with the solo shot. Pete Alonso hit by pitch. Jeff McNeil doubles. Marte sac fly. Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil, Mauricio knock, Sanger knock. They got to take Fuentes out of the game. And you put up a 5 spot there, it's 6-1. In Cincinnati, the Yankees were working on matching the same score. And you feel good about yourself. You're able to look around and say, okay, we've swam out of it. 38,275 people in attendance in Flushing to see this game and see the Mets go out there and get it done. Clay Holmes does enough, goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 4 walks, 2 Ks. It doesn't get really too crazy for you until the end of the game. Never easy, right? At the end of the game, you're thinking, no way are they going to rally. No way are the Braves going to do something against Jonathan Pintaro. After the robbed home run from Jeff McNeil, Robin Ozuna, Michael Harris had a nice robbery of Lindor, and all the things in between, you're like, no way are they going to actually rally and come back. And late in that game, Pintaro just was wild. It seemed like he was throwing in, and after all the conversation about, oh, you got to throw at these guys, the Mets got to check these guys, the Mets got to fight these guys, they got to stand up for themselves. He throws up and in on Allen. He throws up and in twice on Ronald Acuna Jr. Ronald Acuna Jr. gives him a look, dials in, and drives 2 runs in. Then he walks Olsen, and you got to go get Edwin Diaz. But all is well that ends well. Edwin Diaz gets that last out, and the Mets fans are back in the New York groove. 888-808-1019. You still have the chance to split the series. The Yankees didn't have the chance to split the series. They lost the series last night. And I don't care to rehash any of this stuff from last night. It is what it is. Your opinion is your opinion. My opinion is my opinion. Social media is social media. It seemed like the rivalry was all the way on. Yes, the best rivalry in baseball. Yankee fans versus other Yankee fans. But it was funny tonight because Max Fried ends up going 6 innings, 89 pitches, giving up 4 hits. And I'm like, no, similar thing as last night. But I guess tonight it wasn't too hot. I guess tonight Max Fried wasn't huffing and puffing on Zooties. Max Fried is a master at work. Max Fried fielding his position, Max Fried picking guys off, Max Fried mixing his pitches, dominating guys. We are lucky to have him. We are lucky to have Max Fried, who's just got his 10th win. Max Fried, who goes out there to be the stopper, where you can count on it, right? As good as the pitching has been, you can count on Max Fried to go out there and do what he's got to do. A 1.92 ERA, strikes out 7 tonight. He was masterful. And the Yankees, with Trent Grisham leading off, big night for him, and the Trent Grisham leadoff resurgent bandwagon. I said I didn't want him leading off, but you know what? They don't have enough leadoff hitters, so he's got to lead off, and he's got to come through like he did tonight. 4 hits, 1 RBI. Judge comes through tonight, and I heard E-Man say a stat that was Judge's first RBI since June 10th. Yikes. So Judge went 2 weeks without driving in a run? Bruh. Some people wanted to say Judge isn't slumping, Judge is fine. Like, yeah, well, what Judge do you know goes 2 weeks without, and I'm going back, I'm like the 10th? Anyway, I'm like, is that correct? That can't be right. That can't be right, because he had the homer in Boston. Anywho, we'll get back to that, because it couldn't have been, June 10th wasn't the right day. Maybe it was the Garrett Crochet June 13th when he had that homer off Crochet. But Judgy hadn't been right. Judgy hadn't been clutch the night before, but he came up clutch tonight, driving some runs in. Oh, Jazz. You like Jazz? Smooth Jazz? Yeah, Jazz was smooth tonight, cool, calm, and collected. I'm guessing somebody talked to him. I'm guessing after he had a night to sleep on it, he understood that, yo, last night you put us in a bad spot, bro. Last night, cooler heads prevail, and you were not the cooler head. Last night you did way too much, and we needed you in that game, and we ended up losing that game, and you couldn't impact winning. But Jazz hits a 2-run bomb, 433 feet to right field. And I don't know what Ben Rice was doing. So nice. Ben Rice, so nice, he had to tag up twice. What does Luis Rojas do? I need somebody to interview Luis Rojas. Like, what is Luis Rojas saying to Ben Rice in that moment? Tag up. Come back. Tag up. Or did Ben Rice just do that? Maybe we can find some audio. I'm sure somebody in the Yankees beat asked Ben Rice, what the hell were you doing, bro? Why'd you tag twice? If you would have been thrown out, would have never heard the end of it. But, oh, yeah, embrace the Martian. Embrace the Martian. Jason Dominguez. Big night for Jason Dominguez. Another guy. Trent Grisham, 4-hit night. 4-hit night for Dominguez. 12 stolen bases on the year. He's stealing bags. Dominguez with the speed. Whenever you see Dominguez play well like he did tonight, it makes you want to see more of Jason Dominguez. He's up there in the Rookie of the Year odds, and he doesn't get the opportunity to play every single day. And he's so young, you know that the talent is there, but he needs the opportunity to showcase his talent, to work on his game. He had 2 hits batting righty tonight, extra base hits. I already said stolen bases. You know, a lot of good things. It's like everybody got some. Judge got a hit. Stanton got a hit. Wells got a hit and drove in a run late, drove in Dominguez late. Even DJ got one. But, like, I'd be remiss if I left this out. Team runners in scoring position, they were 4 for 22. Team LOB, 12. You down with LOB? Yeah, you know me. They're still doing what they've been doing. But a good night because you got the win. A good night because your ace was on the mound. A good night because you didn't get swept by the Reds, which would have been back-to-back years being swept by the Cincinnati Reds. And you get to fly home with some dignity. You get to fly home and you feel a little bit better about yourself. And the Yankees will be here Friday, and we'll be here to greet them. It'll be our fireworks night. The Yankees and the Mets do so many things alike. If you were following me on Twitter, I was dropping the Spider-Man meme, right? At one point in the game, let's see, it was 6-1 in the 7th inning for both the Yankees and the Mets. Twins. Then it was 7-1 for both the Yankees and the Mets in the top of the 9th. And we know Pintaro, Ronald Acuna Jr. But also, looking at these box scores, the Mets scored 7 runs off 13 hits. The Yankees scored 7 runs off 13 hits. And both were, getting off the schneid a bit here, winning the 3rd game of the series. 888-808-1019. We'll start with the baseball. I will get to the basketball whenever. Anyone chime in, any Brooklyn Nets fans out there. What I'll say for the Nets fans is we don't know what the future holds. And draft night, nobody knows that Nikola Jokic is Nikola Jokic. Nobody knows that Jalen Brunson is Jalen Brunson. But the Nets sure do have an anticlimactic way about doing things. Like all the hype around, oh, they got 5 picks. They're going to trade up. They're going to try and get Ace Bailey. Oh, they got 5. They had me thinking tonight, maybe having 5 first-round picks isn't a good thing. What are you going to do with all those picks? As Danny Wolf, forward from Michigan, is selected with pick 27 for the Brooklyn Nets. And Ben Sarif from Israel was selected with the Knicks pick that got traded to the Nets at 26. 888-808-1019. What I'll say about the Nets, if you watch their YouTube series Scout, I know I saw an episode recently where they talk about their international scouting. And there's a lot of international voices in the scouting department, obviously the GM, the head coach. And so when they go out there and they draft Yegor Demin from Russia with the 8th overall pick, who in most mock drafts and things that I read didn't have him going inside the top 10. Okay. And I know fans want, American players that they might know from big colleges. This kid went to BYU, but he did play for Real Madrid. So they must think that he's going to be the next Janan Musa. Musa was a, Brooklyn Nets legend from Real Madrid. I don't know. What I'll say is that the Nets have to develop these players, and they started off this draft picking 3 foreign players, Yegor Demon with the 8th overall pick, and then Nolan Traore from France with the 19th overall pick, and then Ben Sarif from Israel with the 26th overall pick. And they said, all right, we hear y'all. Here's Danny Wolf from the University of Michigan. And I don't know what they're going to do with all these kids. All these kids can't play. All these kids can't make the team. They'll be G Leaguers or they'll be moved. But 888-808-1019. Again, let's get into the baseball. It's good to win. Yankees win, Mets win, and it is draft night over in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. And there are 4 new Brooklyn Nets, so I'll take your calls on that as well. Keith McPherson on the fan dial, 888-808-1019. KM to AM returns right after this. Yo. All right, let's see who's in the chat, yo. What's up, Pam? How's it going? What do you think about the Nets picks, Keith? I don't know. I don't know these guys. I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna act like I watch these guys play. I don't know them. I don't know them. Beertopia Gaming on the Twitch. Cheers. KM brand, the McPherson brand for the fam. Stay tuned. Yeah. With the lightning bolt, you already know I give it up. Zing. Hector, appreciate you, bro. Demon D, appreciate you, bro. Dennis back in here. What up? What up, chat? Yeah, and Judge did have he had a solo, maybe outside of, maybe that's the first run that he drove in. Yeah, I'm like, I know that's not right. Because he had a solo shot, Judge. Let's see, Judge June 10. Yeah, that's right. That's not right. Because I'm like, Judge had the Garrett Crochet homer. He had the homer in the first game of the series. Maybe it's the first run that he drove in that wasn't a homer. Migs, what up, bro? I see you on hold if that's you. I see you on hold if that's you, bro. Jose Trevino had something to do with that Jazz ejection. I heard that today. Not sure if true, but y'all heard of the baseballs having a different thread? Yes, it is true. Yeah. Eno Saris and Evan Drellick wrote an article in The Athletic on it. Crazy how the Yankees run differential is at 110 with all the struggling. It would be stupid if they actually didn't leave so many runners on. Glad that it's about time they won tonight. We didn't go all guards. Point guard, Nolan Traore, I think, is a shooting guard. We just went forward with Danny Wolf. And maybe you put this in the chat before we drafted Danny Wolf. Yes, it's the dead ball era. There's like 4 feet less carry or drag on him or something. Please don't talk about the Nets. We don't care. Log off. You can go to bed. It's 11:21. Nice jersey, fake bandwagon fan. How do you still have a job on WFAN? You're the worst host, even on you don't spell host like that. That's how you spell toast. You got to work on that, or maybe that was a typo. You're the worst host even on is ever on. You should go to sleep. You got to get some rest. You can't even type. Finally beat the Braves. Hallelujah. Soto, let's go Mets. Big night for the Met fan. Ben, what up, bro? Let them rock, Amber. We can deal with these dum-dums in the chat. They're Keith McPherson fans. They just don't know how to be nice. They don't know how to show love. I show everybody love, even the haters. I don't know you. You know me. So, like, thanks for pulling up to the chat. Say whatever you want in the chat. Try to keep it, copacetic. Try to keep it casual in here, but, like, I really don't mind. Met still Garbino? No, we'll see. What's cracking, bro? Yo, what up, man? Judge had a home run against the Reds, right? He had a home run against the Reds. He had a home run. I got to get that stat. I don't know. It was something like, maybe it's the first. I got to look at his numbers. Maybe I heard it wrong. Maybe it's the first run that he drove in that wasn't a home run. Something since June 10th. And I'm like, wait, what? Yes, stitching is higher on the balls. Repping Brooklyn, of course. They did show a clip of Trevino pointing out Jazz was mumbling to himself. Yo, Funhouse in here. I mean, why not? I had somebody just now be like, yo, why are you talking about the Nets? Because the Nets hosted the draft. The Nets just had 5 first-round draft. Like, what are we're supposed to ignore a team in the city? I know we're second fiddle to the Knicks, but got to speak on it.
And I appreciate that. So we here to represent. We can keep we've got plenty of that for the rest of the year. I want to speak on the Nets draft because there's been a lot of craziness on Twitter. I think fans expected too much. I personally don't watch enough college basketball to know all around about these kids. But I do know that it's been 14 years since we've been in a position to even get talent at this level in the draft. You know, the jury's still out on our front office. They've done good in development and before. So we're still giving them a chance. But the reaction was crazy to me. I'm just looking at a 19-year-old kid, and prior to him being called up, I was watching the analyzations, and I never heard of a better playmaker than him before.
Right.
That face value, and we're trying to build something for the future that's going to take maybe 2 to 3 years to build. And next year, if we do something, we'll be right back here looking for talent in the top.
I
So, like, this is how we want to build it, and I don't want to take that joy away from Nets Nation because I think they need to see where we're at, and not trying to rush the process.
Yeah, no one knows.
I'm gonna give this 19-year-old playmaker a chance, and the rest of the young talent, and let's just do it organically, man. We got a little taste of that, the D-Lo era, and when people would say, yeah, that era was more fun, and when we was in that deep era, I was like, nah, they bugging. And now looking back at high school, like, it was more fun. So let's just get back to where he was at before. Like I said, I appreciate you putting us in that spot, Keith, especially on a day like today, where the Mets and Yankees both won. But our Nets, let's see where we got the future there.
Yeah. We'll get to the Yankees and the Mets. We talk about them all day, every day, but it's a night where the Nets host a draft and they just pick some players that maybe in 2, 3, 4, 5 years we're saying, yo, that was a franchise-altering draft. That was a generational draft. Nobody knows. And what I feel like, Miggs, I saw the reaction to, people just, Nets fans specifically, they just are ready to hate on the franchise. They're ready to complain about things and overreact to things. I'm like, you can't overreact. Especially because it's the first pick out of 4 or 5 picks. We have no idea what these kids are going to turn into.
I got a question for you. If Sean Marks wasn't the guy making these picks, do you think the reaction would have been the same?
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people hate on Sean Marks, and rightfully so. He's earned it. But they're more inclined to be like, yo, he doesn't know what he's doing and he's messing up again. And I even leaned into like the international influence with the GM and the head coach and some of the scouts. Yeah, it is what it is, Joe. I mean, the league is international. There's a lot of foreign players. It's not just Americans. So we'll see. They're
19-year-old, you know what I mean? I don't want to kill that kid's dream before he even dribbles the ball.
No, we're not. We're not.
I don't know enough about all the whole college scene, so I can't speak on it.
Yeah, you know what it is, Miggs? Because he's a kid, like I said, nobody really had him going in the top 10, and there were so many other American players with names that you knew that people were like, yo, I had somebody in the chat just like, yo, we went all guards. And I'm like, so what? They picked 3 guards, a forward. So what? You don't know what they're going to turn into. The book is wide open on the Brooklyn Nets in the future. Miggs, thanks for the call, bro. 888-808-1019. Fran Frisilla wrote that the Brooklyn Nets are in a total rebuild, and they take BYU's Yegor Demon, the first true international player of the night, possibly the best 19-year-old passer in the world. He'll take some time because of his lack of strength. A physical team like Houston stole his lunch, but a lot of long-term potential. He may be best as a second side of the court playmaker, whatever. What I'll say is this. That's clearly the guy that they wanted at 8, and they weren't able to trade up. It takes 2 to tango. Cooper Flagg goes 1 to the Dallas Mavericks. Dylan Harper goes 2 to the San Antonio Spurs. VJ Edgecombe goes 3 to the Philadelphia 76ers. Con Knipple goes 4th to the Charlotte Hornets. All those picks make sense. Like VJ was going there because Bailey fell out with them, and then Knipple being right there at Duke in North Carolina, going to Charlotte, and then Ace Bailey, who a lot of Nets fans had their eyes on, hoping they would get. He goes to Utah at 5. I don't know if that's exactly what he wanted, but it takes 2 to tango. You're not able to trade up unless somebody wants to trade back, or you have a package that they're willing to accept. It didn't work out that way. Trey Johnson goes to the Wizards. Jeremiah Fears goes to the Pelicans. And shout out to the Pelicans. They did work tonight. They end up getting Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen out of Maryland. So nobody knows. We'll see what happens. 888-808-1019. Let's pull in a Mets call before we get too deep into the Nets stuff. Danny's in Maplewood on the fan. What's up, Danny?
Hey, Keith. Heading home from the game. It was a nice win tonight, but it was a nice game for Ronnie Mauricio, right? 3 hits, a home run. I got to say, though, that a bunch of us were watching closely. This guy just does not hustle. It is just striking how, even on the home run, he got around third base and he was dancing. He was doing like your third home run. Don't act like you're, Aaron Judge or, your Pete Alonso or Juan Soto. And then a couple of times there was one ball hit down the left field line, and he just got the first base. There could have been an opportunity for him to get the second if he busted it out from home plate. And what's really amazing to me is here is a guy who has finally gotten up and gotten an opportunity. Prior to 180, right? And Acuna went down. Beatty is sort of hot and cold, right? Vientos is on the horizon of coming back. And you would think that this guy, given an opportunity, would really, bust it every time that there was, a ball that he puts in play where he can get to first base or second base or whatever. And it's just amazing to me that he doesn't do it. It's just so weird,
Yeah, I think it's his style, his build, like his frame. Like he's a big body guy. So like maybe he looks like he's not hustling because he's just like how he's built. But also, like if you're noticing things like that, I'm sure the Mets are noticing things like that, and they have a decision to make with Vientos coming back. He'll probably be the casualty.
Yeah, I think, we were talking tonight, a bunch of us at the game, right? Like, is it going to be Jared Young going down? Is it going to be Mauricio? To me, I don't think Jared Young is a very good player. Obviously, he's not, borderline player at best. But, I mean, when that guy plays, he hustles, right? When Mauricio plays, he doesn't hustle. And to me, the choice is really simple. You got to send Mauricio down and so that he gets more playing time. But the guy needs an attitude adjustment.
Maybe, yeah.
So, it was a nice win. Soto is looking like Soto, and it was just nice to
beat the Braves for the first time this year. Yeah, and hit the ball out of the ballpark and have some defensive moments. And thank you for that call, Danny, because I'll say this, like Ronnie Mauricio cannot act like he's arrived. He's got plenty of options. I don't know how many options a Jared Young has, who's 29. And we all know that Mendoza kind of favors him or at least takes up for him. So maybe it's not Mauricio, maybe it's Jared Young. But I would think it would be like, because Vientos is going to play the field and Mauricio can play third base and can play second base, and so can Beatty. Like it'd be one of them, right? Because you don't need three guys that can play the same position. We'll find out soon. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't at the game, so I can't say I wasn't at the game, so I can't say I seen him not hustling or whatever. But I'll take your word for it if that's what you saw. And in my defense of him, I just defend that it's his style. He's a big body guy, and he homered tonight. He was the first one on the board tonight. Maybe that's another reason they send him down. Alvarez homered, and they sent him down. So maybe they say, hey, this guy's feeling himself. He's feeling good about himself. Send him down and bring Vientos right back. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Matt in Huntington on the Fan. What's up, Matt? Yo, what's up? What's up?
Outside of Billy's. Yeah, I met you outside of Billy's the other night outside the stadium. Great meeting you, man. You're awesome. You're my favorite voice of the fan, voice of the Yankees on the fan, in my opinion. And I was with him. It's my dad. He's with me right now.
Yo, what's up, Pops? What's up, Dad?
Yeah. Great to talk to you once again. You're the best. You're the voice of the Yankees on the fan. Hey, I got a couple quick Yankee points. First of all, you know what, Yankee Twitter, a lot of fans out there are anti-Grish, whatever. They want him to get less at-bats and whatnot. I get it. The average is up and down. Obviously, a big night for him tonight, 4 hits. I want to see him in there. I'm with Boone on Grish. I want him in there consistently every night. I think that he's an impact bat. I think that it took him a long time to kind of unlock this potential in his career. But I think he's here, and I think he's legit. I don't think he's a fraud. The other thing I have to say is that I think Goldie, I'm not really good with Goldie getting multiple off nights a week. This guy's an all-star. The average is down now. It's below 290, but still, Goldie's got to be in there pretty much every single night. I know it's tough. I know that a couple guys are not going to be in the lineup every night that should be, but Goldie and Grish, I think we need that lefty-righty balance. I think that they should both be in there, consistent pretty much every night. I want to know what you think of it.
Yeah, Trent Grisham has been a bonus. Trent Grisham was a guy that in spring training, he got hurt. And I'm like, I don't care about this guy. I'm like, if Dominguez is struggling in left field, make him play left field. But now I understand he is first in there because he is Gold Glove defense in center field. And when I say he's a bonus, we had no idea he was going to bring his bat the way he's brought his bat, and he can run. So, like, he was a dark horse leadoff hitter that nobody saw coming. Nobody saw Trent Grisham being a leadoff hitter. We talked about Jazz. We talked about Dominguez. People suggested Volpe. Austin Wells opened up the season as a leadoff hitter. So Trent Grisham's value at a guy that makes like $5 million a year, a guy that was the throw-in in the trade last year with Juan Soto, he has just kind of played over his head, and he is sustaining it. Now, as far as Goldie, he's come down to earth a little bit, but I think he's just running into some bad luck because he's hit some balls hard that have been caught. And it's also because Stanton is back. And Stanton is just a DH. And they got to put Stanton in there, and they're trying to get Stanton going. When you talk about a guy that makes way more money than a Trent Grisham, you put Stanton in the lineup, you got to sacrifice that DH spot, and that's why you're seeing Rice, which they also got to play Rice. You're seeing Rice get more opportunities at first base and kind of platoon with Goldie because Stanton has to DH. And when they're facing a right-handed hitter, they want Rice in that lineup. Rice is another guy that could potentially lead off if it's not Grisham. It's interesting here. I don't know. They have more guys than they need, it seems, but I think these are good problems to have because late in games, you know, you can pinch hit a Paul Goldschmidt or you can pinch hit a Ben Rice. And Goldschmidt's 37 years old. We do need him in there, but they're also, you know, playing the long game with him and kind of giving him some rest. But I feel like maybe that has cooled him off too. I don't know. I'm not sure what the rhyme or reason is outside of Stanton being back and them playing the matchups. You know, when you look at Rice's numbers against righties and Goldie's numbers against lefties, that's what's going to dictate who's in or not.
Yeah, no, you make good points there. And I will say it's a tough balance for Booney because a lot of guys like Giancarlo coming off the IL, he needs to be in there on a night-to-night basis to really get his groove back. We know usually he struggles when he comes back right off the IL. And then, you know, a young guy like Rice, to boost his confidence in there, he needs to be a night-to-night player. But I just think, in my opinion overall, I would like to go, I'd like to lead off either Trent or Rice. I'd like to go lefty in the leadoff hole every night and have Judge back behind and then back to a lefty. I want to see more left to right. I think that's probably the best course of action with the Yankee lineup at this point. And then in terms of the pitching, I mean, it's been excellent. We can't complain at all. I had a problem with Boone the other night, pulling Rodon with 88 pitches and everything. Like, just keep it rolling. And you know what? Add a couple arms at the bullpen. I think we're in great shape overall. But I want to see more lefty-righty balance overall in terms of the lineup.
Yeah, they change the lineup every day. Thanks for the call, Matt. Thanks for the call, Matt's dad. They change the lineup every day, and they do keep it balanced. And Boone said something along the lines of him being obsessed with the left, right, left balance in the lineup, and they have it. They have it. I'm not mad about it. And also, you know, when you're struggling, when you're leaving runners on, when there's so many scoreless innings, when you're not winning games, they have to keep changing things up to try and break through. You know what I'm saying? They got to keep changing things up to, like, get right. So all it is something you got to ask Brian Cashman about. Hey, man, why'd you build this team with so many left-handed catchers? Why'd you build this team with, you know, so many guys for so little positions? We have 4 outfielders that all need to play. We have 2 first basemen that need to play. We have a first baseman that took up DHing this year that needs to play. And then Stanton, who's only a DH. And it is what it is. It is what it is. 888-808-1019. We've got Nets calls coming up. Obviously Mets calls and then Yankees calls as well. So we're going to continue to talk about the baseball teams and the team hosting the NBA draft that just picked a few Brooklyn Nets to join them this upcoming fall. Keith McPherson on the Fan. Don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. I need to switch the audio. Let me see something here. Okay, I see. So the audio ended up getting muted. The audio ended up getting, my mic that I switched to ended up getting muted. So sorry about that. When we first came in, I saw people like, yo, you're muted, you're muted, you're muted. I'm like, so what I did was go back to the old sound of just playing the monitor. You guys that have been rocking with me since February when I was doing these lives like that could hear the difference right there. Yeah, it was audio. Got it. Let me go back to the chat. Yep, muted. Keith, audio, muted. We don't hear you. Okay, let me go back. Yeah, so Funhouse. Shout out to Funhouse, who I have no idea who Funhouse is as like a person, but they do great content online and they specifically go into like the archives with WFAN. So obviously I appreciate that being somebody on WFAN. Yes, Yankees and Mets won on the same day. Yeah, because they got to be like each other. Spider-Man meme. Ace throwing out the first pitch at the Mets game was a tease. Dylan Harper threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium. So I think they just split those two guys up because this is history made. 2 top 5 picks from Rutgers never happens. What's wrong with these people also? So like the haters in the chat, bro. I like it's so corny, bro. You know what I think about all the time? Even people I hate, I don't go comment on their stuff. I don't watch their live streams. So that's why I said what I said before. I'm like, if somebody's in here writing, they don't hate me. They're just trying to be seen. And like the funny thing is they're trying to be seen and they're anonymously hating. Like all I do in here is tell you guys all the time. Appreciate y'all, man. All I do is show up and talk to everybody in the chat on top of host my show, on top of taking calls, on top of looking at box scores and news. And like, I'm doing a lot of stuff in here. But if you're coming in to hate on me, bring it on. Because all you do is add numbers to my total view count on YouTube and Twitter, which are monetized. And you're helping me put a little bit of change in my pocket. So it's all the same. But to anybody watching, I always say, like, you're going to have haters. And the more popular you get, like, no one gets unanimous love. Like, there's so much a part of this, like, radio stuff. There's people, you guys just heard a caller say, you're the best on the fan. You're the voice of the Yankees. You're my favorite. But there are other people that will go online and be like, this guy sucks. I just had a guy in the chat. Where was the guy in the chat? Let me scroll back to, bring some light to him. You're the worst host in WFAN history. He can't use his keyboard very well on his phone or on his MacBook or whatever he's on. But like, that's your opinion. I'm not for everybody, and I'm not trying to be. I know I got these people that rock with me every night that I'm for. Let's see where we're at. Just teasing about the Nets, just like how you tease about the Mets. I enjoy the show and live. It's all good, bro. I'm like, I got people calling about the Nets. Like, I'm gonna talk about the Nets. I'm a Nets fan. They're a New York sports team, Keith's a good guy. People need to chill. He isn't a fake fan, that's for sure. He's a real one. They don't have to chill. Like, it's all internet stuff. I always throw this banner up. Never met a hater. I've never had a human being come up to me in real life, in my face, and say anything hateful or negative. Not once. Not one time. Because I think, like, if you ever saw me in real life, I don't give off that type of energy. Like, you would look really foolish coming up to me and hating because, like, I don't invite any of that. Let's see. Danny Wolf, loved the pick. I'm not familiar with him, but we'll talk about him. From Michigan. Nets need to make some moves, though. We have too many players. Definitely. Audio was not good. It's going to be better. You'll be able to hear these calls. I'm going to run through these calls when we come back. Where? LOL. Not really sure what the Nets are doing with these picks. We're not supposed to know. Not today. Are you crazy? Juan Soto better than Judge? Come on. I think I might have said Juan Soto was having a better month than Judge. I would never say he's better than Judge. All right, here we go. Let's switch the audio back. Can I live? All right, let's do it, man. Quickly here before we get to 12, and then I, flip the page and say good morning on the other side. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. KM to AM. The Yankees win. They handle business, and they get out of Cincinnati without getting broomed. 7-1. The Mets win, and they get their first win against the Braves since last year, the dramatic win that sent them to the postseason. They have the chance to still, split the series tomorrow. And so we're talking about that, but we're also talking about your Brooklyn Nets. If you're a Nets fan, you might not have the feeling that you had yesterday. Yesterday, when we saw the Kristaps Porzingis move and Terrence Mann becoming a Brooklyn Net and the Nets taking on his contract and the Nets getting another pick essentially for free, it was a thought of 5 first-round picks, what's about to go down? 5 first-round picks, are they going to trade up into the top 3, top 5? No, it takes 2 to tango. Nobody wanted to do that. But ultimately, the Nets do make their picks, and we'll see what happens from here. John is in Freehold on the Fan. What's up, John?
Thank you. First of all, shout out Talking Nets. Long-time listener, so proud of you on WFN. You're amazing. Second, with the Nets. Listen, like any Nets fan, like you just insinuated, there's an air of disappointment, yes. But there's a weird case of best case scenario. And the thing I think is we've all been lulled into this Marks we trust. We can't get away from Sean Marks. He could pull off any deal in the world. He can draft players late and they become great role players, great tradable assets. He got 5 first-round picks. He had 5 dart throws. If the guy can't hit a bullseye on one of them, send him packing. And I'm not talking in 2028, we figure out if these guys are good. I'm talking 2026, 2027. They're young, sure. But we need flashes. We need life. Something. We can't keep getting lulled into this thought that Marks is so amazing when we wait to trade guys like Derek Schroeder, Schroeder, just to make sure that we have a couple wins on the back end and get an expiring contract later. We can't win games late into the season and fall where the Sixers were, and they go up to 3 and we go to 8. I get there's a lot of semantics in that, but there's things that we can't keep doing in the Sean Marks era, and this is one of them. If he can't hit one of the 5 first-round picks, he is gone.
Well, I'll say this, John, and thanks for shouting out Talking Nets. Man, I met somebody in Target 2 days ago that was a Talking Nets fan, and the more that the Nets are starting to come back to at least conversation, people are like, "Yo, bring Talking Nets back." So I'm working behind the scenes on potentially doing that. And what I'll say is this: we're going to find out in the summer league. Cam Thomas in the summer league, we knew Cam Thomas was legit. Jalen Wilson in the summer league, we're going to know who is who in the summer league if one of these guys, balls out or wins MVP. And what I look at the Nets is they are rebuilding completely, and they need talent, and they have to have some kind of vision that we don't know about, and we don't have to know today. But they have to build a team that they can sustain. I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I look at Sam Presti, and Sam Presti just had a quote where he said, "Shortcuts cut long runs." Cut long runs short. That was the phrase. Shortcuts cut long runs short. And basically now I think the Brooklyn Nets are saying we can't take the shortcuts. We're not trading these picks to get a player. We're not trading up or doing it. We're going to pick our own players. We're going to develop them. And we're going to try to be contenders for years to come. And if it takes 2, 3, 4 years, so be it.
Totally agree. I mean, we have to give him a chance. This is the ultimate take everybody and hope one sticks. I'm fine with it. We've been through the Jean and Musa years where we take a guy at 27 and watched some EuroLeague highlights where he's scoring 9 points a game, and we're all excited. So I'll take 5 of those, I guess. That's fine. But we need some life. I mean, my goodness, we've done a lot of things. We traded for many high-end talents, the low-end talents, but this is the time. If something's going to happen, it needs to happen, and we need some hope in that plan. So thanks, Keith. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the call, John. If you're a Nets fan and you don't watch the Brooklyn Nets YouTube channel, go to the Brooklyn Nets YouTube channel. They have a series called Scout, All Access with the Brooklyn Nets. And I believe it was the 3rd episode. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Scout episode 3, Life on the Road with the Brooklyn Nets. And they basically show you their scouts going overseas to look for talent. If that wasn't a clear indicator of what they were going to do in this draft, I don't know, what else is. 888-808-1019. Let's get another Yankee call in before we go to the break. What's up, Mark in California? You're on the Fan in New York.
What's up? Yeah, man. I mean, just real quick, Brooklyn had a horrible draft. They used, we actually thought they were cooking. They used 4 first-round picks on guys that, Danny Wolf, come on. You see him, he's 4 first-round
picks.
picks.
He's the 27th overall pick.
Yeah, I get it, though. But, why would you use all 4 of your picks in one game?
Because they couldn't trade any of them. They couldn't package any of them. I'm sure they called. There was a proposed trade tonight. We don't know who had a good draft tonight. These are kids.
There's no OKC out there. I mean, and listen, when OKC was making moves, OKC fans were freaking out. They were like, why are we trading all these picks? What are we doing here? Blah, blah, blah.
And now they're champs. And now they just had a parade.
Right. You had 4 first-round picks, and you're telling me you couldn't package any of them for a player. And listen, let's not go on a limb here and say Terrence Mann is, great. He's, You know what I mean? He's a decent
no one
player.
said he was great. Who said Terrence Mann was great? I said what was great was that they got Terrence Mann, and they got another pick in the 3-team trade for no one's screaming that Terrence Mann is about to lead the Nets to the promised land. What else you got?
Oh my God! Steve, you should see it. But anyway, what I want to talk about real quick, not even 2 minutes. Listen, man, you saw yesterday's game. When everything goes right for Boone, everything goes right. But when the dude actually has to manage a game, he has no idea what he's doing. 12 and 27 in extra innings games. And it's almost like every time they get to extra innings, it's an automatic L. Literally every time. And that's not the players. It's the coach. And it's different shuffling of the lineups and the bullpen. And why would you bring in the Weisinger the other day? Hasn't pitched in over 5 days and he gets shelled. And then he pulls what's his name for 9 pitches. It's exhausting already watching this guy manage. And the thing is the longer they get with this roster construction that they have, when Goldschmidt and Wells can't hit out of a paper bag 0 for 13, and then all of a sudden they start slumping it out of it. Every single year, Keith, we see the Yankees go on a tear, and at the end of the season, it's done. You know what I mean? And I'm getting tired of watching it because I see it so much. And I saw it with Tibbs, and Tibbs is gone. Congratulations for him. He had good 5 years, but enough is enough already with this. We will never.
Thanks for the call, Mark. They won. They won tonight. And now tonight is over. We got to go to break. We got to turn the page to tomorrow. It'll be June 26th when we come back. Dial 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan. KM to AM returns right after this.
You're juggling work, life, and...
I'm just not with the complaining. We did the complaining the last few nights. I'm not with it. It can't. Every show can't be complain and cry. No, the Knicks don't have a pick. Their pick they traded to the Nets, and with that pick, the Nets took Ben Sarah from Israel. I'm not mad. The Nets got a crop of new young talent that, if 2 of these guys are pieces of the future, so be it. there's a lot of talk about this second apron. There's a lot of talk about the money being spent in the NBA, and I think the Nets are trying to get under that. They're trying to look out for the tax and the penalties. They're trying to build a team that's not going to cost them so much. And how do you do that? Through the draft. The New York Knicks, the team that they have, they didn't build that team through the draft. They struck out so much in the draft that they said, okay, we got to build through trades and free agency. Rice's bat will start heating up with more reps. I think Goldie definitely hitting into bad luck. Hard hit percent is pretty solid from what I saw. Yes, agreed. He almost hit one out the other day. Yeah, they're all playing defense well. I agree. I wish we had a world where Goldie and Rice could play third sometimes. Yeah, so we don't have to play DJ and put Jazz back at second base. I think you'd be incorrect. We've talked about, I've been on now for an hour. We've talked about that every segment. Who's the next Jokic? Yeah, but like, bro, I don't know. Okay, Utah took him. So you think they didn't get on the phone and talk to Utah? Sure they did. I don't know. We always in theory say that like they should have been able to package these picks, make a trade. It takes two to tango. You need a partner to trade with. People on here hating, but their view making you. I know. This is a story of my ascent. Like, I've always had people hating on me, and it helps. Like, all it does is help. All 5 Nets fans were waiting outside for Sean Marks, ready to throw trash on him. That's a well-placed joke. But, like, I don't think Sean Marks did anything wrong tonight. They scouted some players. They used their picks on players that they wanted. Mike D'Antoni in the draft rooms. I don't know where Mike D'Antoni. He's on somebody's bench. A lot of international players drafted. Yes, because, like I said, I'm going to put it in the chat. Scout episode 3. Life on the road with the Brooklyn Nets international scouts. Like they literally told us this is the last episode. If you paying attention to the Brooklyn Nets on YouTube, they signaled this. Got a couple people in the chat on Twitch. I don't promote my Twitch at all. I don't do anything on Twitch, but I live stream it, but I don't be on there enough.
Good morning at 12 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Mets avoid the sweep, their first win against the Braves this season, 7-3 your final. Juan Soto going deep twice. Ryan Mauricio homered as well, while Clay Holmes gave up just a run over 5. Mets snapping a 5-game skid against the Braves, picking up just their second win in the last 12 games. Yankees pound the Reds 7-1, bust out for 13 hits, 4 apiece for Trent Grisham and Jason Dominguez, while Jazz Chisholm went deep. Max Fried, the game's first 10-game winner, struck out 7 over 7 without giving up an earned run. NBA draft, Cooper Flag goes 1 to the Mavericks. Pair of Rutgers products in the top 5. Dylan Harper second to the Spurs. Ace Bailey went 5th to the Jazz. For the Nets, they used all 5 of their first-round picks. Yegor Demon, number 8 out of BYU. Nolan Traore from France at 19. Drake Powell at 22. Ben Saraf at 26. And Danny Wolf at 27. 78 degrees, cloudy skies, Central Park. That's what's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Good morning, guys. Now let's rock. Keith McPherson on the Fan. It's a new day. We got 2 wins yesterday, and you know, the more I think about this Brooklyn Nets draft, the more optimistic I am about it. Nobody knows anything. We live in this world of people that swear they know everything because the internet gives everybody a platform and a voice. I mean, I'll give you this platform. Dial 888-808-1019 if you want to weigh in on it. But we should probably lean more on the Yankees and the Mets. I get it. Nets fans, though, I'll take your calls. But I think all of this stuff, it's draft night. It's the first. These kids haven't even been Brooklyn Nets for more than a couple hours. And people are saying, oh, the draft was terrible. And you don't know that. We have no idea. We have no idea. 888-808-1019. Avery in Manhattan on the Fan. What's up, Avery?
Good draft. Good job.
Yeah, it's funny. In my chat, Lou says that 26 pick certainly makes the Bridges trade look a little bit better for the Knicks. I guess if you look at it like that, like what did you get? You got Ben Sarah from Israel, a guard.
So he was your 26th, and Wolf was your 27th, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you something about Danny Wolf, if I may. So his brother, he played for the WashU basketball team for a while, and so he's a friend of mine over there. And he told me that his brother, hardest worker you'll ever see. He may, I can't really tell you exactly what his scouting report is. I'm saying, or exactly what he can bring to the team. But I do know that he's a hard-working kid. He's a good kid. He'll work harder than anybody on that team for his opportunities. And, I mean, hopefully, I'm biased, and I hope it all goes well for him. But I think that you guys rounded it out rather nicely, and that kid should have gone a little earlier than he went.
Yeah, and it's about them developing these kids. And I think that right now the Nets have the right coach and the right people in the building where they are going to develop some real players. And I was just in my chat talking during the break about how, you know, people are talking about the second apron and like, look what the Celtics had to do and all the money spent. And if you look at the Knicks and all the money spent on their players and what they have to do to keep this team together, I think what the Brooklyn Nets are doing right now is actively thinking about their finances and saying, hey, if we can draft and develop our own, it's going to save us some money.
Look, Keith, I'm not a Nets fan. I'm a Knicks fan. You know that. But I would never root against the Nets. And I've seen what you guys are doing over there, and it looks like you can really build a bright future. I think you guys got some really good picks. And maybe it's not such a bad thing to not trade those picks for someone who's a proven superstar. I mean, you don't really know exactly how it's going to go. Anything can happen. And one of these 5 kids could be the next guy. Who knows?
Yeah, that's where I'm at tonight. I'm sure some Nets fans panicked and are mad about a bunch of no names and foreign players and what are we doing and how come we didn't get Ace Bailey. Again, it takes 2 to tango. You need a partner to be your trade partner. And I think that the Brooklyn Nets kind of foreshadowed this. On their YouTube channel, their last episode of Scout is Life on the Road with the Brooklyn Nets International Scouts. And what it does, it introduces you to their international scouts, how they became scouts, and shows you like them in other countries looking for players.
If I may, can I add a Yankees point real quickly?
Yeah.
I heard your show last night. Obviously, I called into it, but it was towards the end. I wanted to say before, and it ended up working out that Chris McMonagle covered it in his show immediately. You're saying about the Aaron Boone thing, right? I'm not dwelling on yesterday, but I want to make a point.
Am I saying on which Aaron Boone thing? There's a few Aaron Boone things.
The one about, right, well, of course. I want to refer to specifically the one with Rodon about the fact that Rodon was tired or whatever. He was huffing and puffing, and they took him out at 88 pitches, and it was the same number that they took Cole out in the World Series, whatever it was. And he said they had their stories. They had their stories set. And then McMonagle comes on, and he starts yelling about it. No knock on McMonagle at all. But he starts saying the complete opposite of what you said, which is, so we go so far to blame the manager that we're going to say that he was lying to us. I just want to say, accountability. And if you ask McMonagle, he hates that term. But accountability is something that is a very broad term. You can go down so many different you can go in so many different directions with it. But it's so important for us to realize, what is Boone supposed to say? Is he going to say exactly what the analytics said? Is that what he's going to tell us?
No,
we
never.
Can't blame Boone for putting Loaizaga in that game. And of course, he's never going to tell us what the analytics said, because whatever we understand or don't understand as fans about analytics, it's still something that he's going to get a lot of criticism for if he shares that information with the fans. I'm saying that what are you asking Boone to do? Not put the reliever in the game, who's been one of your better relievers for a long time, because he was sick? There's no excuses. The guy had to go get the job done. I don't think he should have pulled Rodon because he had a depleted bullpen. But you had to do what you had to do in that game situation. The criticism on Boone is a lot. However, in this situation, I see both sides. I see how it may have been warranted. And I think in this situation, he made the wrong choice. But for the most part, people get to criticize Boone a lot for things that a lot of other managers do. And we have to take a step back for a minute and realize that if we didn't have Boone, I think we'd be in a lot worse shape, because there's not a lot of managers out there that are quite like this guy. And I think he's growing. I think he's getting better. I honestly thought he had a really good postseason last year. And we just got to ride it out. It's not fair to we get so worked up about one little thing. And while I think in that situation it was worth reacting over, the fact that everybody is this angry to call Aaron Boone such a bad manager, I do agree with McMonagle, is a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Avery. I don't want to rehash it, but I'll give my take on it. And I heard Big Mac show, and I heard Big Mac say, when I drive home, I put the Odyssey app on. When I drive through the tunnel, I don't lose WFAN like you would if you would, have the radio on. I hear Big Mac show until I literally get home, park my car, and then I have earbuds in my car that I put in my ear. And then as I go upstairs to put my stuff down, to make some food, to try and I listen to Big Mac show almost every night till 4 o'clock. And I respect Big Mac as a Yankee fan, but the greatest rivalry is Yankee fans versus other Yankee fans. We're supposed to disagree, and I'll agree to disagree. What I felt like yesterday with Boone was soft. And also I felt like you're losing. You have the series on the line. You just went through the scoreless streak, and the only thing you could hang your hat on was the performance of the starting pitching. And I don't care that it was hot. I don't care that it's hot. That's not an excuse at 6 innings, 88 pitches to say, job done. Yep. But okay, what I will retract, or not even retract, was in the moment I was mad. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible loser. I've been this way since a child. I don't like to lose. I'm competitive. I'm a sore loser. And what I felt like was the decision turned into the result. Okay, let's go back, right? When they made the decision to take Clark Schmidt out at 103 pitches, I was fine with that decision because the result was they ended up winning the game. Clark was good, whatever. JT Brubaker, I don't care about the Gary Sanchez single, whatever. Like, the decision led you to winning the game. The decision to take Rodon out in the 6th inning when he has pitched into the 7th, to not even let him face a batter. I don't care about a clean inning. Okay, if you care about a clean inning for Loaizaga, then don't put him in there. And then it was compounded. It doesn't matter. Loaizaga supposedly was sick. Now Loaizaga's hurt. Loaizaga lost the game. He blew it. Really, the blame goes on him. And Chris is 100% right. Get the 3 outs. Get the outs. But I think that Aaron Boone and the Yankees, they have too much of this. We're good. The culture that they have developed with these Yankees is soft, where these guys aren't fighting. I don't care if you're huffing and puffing. Go get some water, sit down, breathe deep through your nose and out of your mouth. We need you to come out in the 7th inning. We need you. And that's why my quote about $27 million that you make. And then I even talked about people in the city that are working outside, or people in the MTA that got to work in the hot subways that don't get to clock out. You don't get to clock out. 88 pitches is not a lot. How do we come up with this number, the 88? And when I mentioned Garrett Cole in the World Series, I think it was around 88. There were other times where, like, I don't want my starting pitcher to come out at 88 pitches unless he's giving it up. If he's rolling, okay. So Rodon said it, and he backed Boone because that's the story, and they're sticking to it. And I was mad that I said they got their stories together. I was mad that they lost. I would have liked to see Rodon come out in the 7th inning. And again, my take is I just think that they foster this mentality of we're the Yankees, we're good, and they're not. I think it's super soft that your starter was just like, I'm huffing and puffing, man. That's all I got. Go compete. We're trying to win. We're losing the lead in first place. We're losing to the Cincinnati Reds. We're in a bad stretch of games. Go out there and compete. You're the best we have. Well, why is it going to shaky? You know? And so, like, that's where I was yesterday with all of that. And like, it's over. They won today. But then I knew today Max Fried wasn't coming out. 6 innings, 89 pitches, giving up 4 hits, up 1 more pitch than Rodon. Max Fried, it was the same temperatures. That's what I'm saying. You guys want to make excuses? Well, I'm not making excuses. I'm not coddling the New York Yankees. There used to be a standard. Shout out to Ryan Garcia and Fireside Yankees. I joined his live chat today, and he was talking about Fanatics Fest and the panel with Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Mariano, Andy Pettit, CC Sabathia. Those guys used to have a standard where if you're out here, you're ready to die out here on the field. You scratch and you claw and you fight to win. You don't say, "Oh, I'm huffing and puffing," and that's why my take was, then you're out of shape. You've been pitching this whole season. You can't go. It's too hot. You're always hot. You're always sweaty. Come on, buck up. I feel like they just foster too much of this softness. They foster too much of this. We're all right. We'll get them tomorrow. And then what happens when we get to October? The same thing. The last 15 going on 16 years. They're too cool. They're not dialed in. They're not ready to die on the field. And then they have a 5th inning like they had, or even before that, they blow game 1 like they blew game 1, or they do stupid things like bring Nestor Cortez in that hadn't pitched for a month, or they have a game 3, the first game in Yankee Stadium, where they're expecting things to be given to them. The umpire's not going to give you guys anything. We're not going to get that until the automatic balls and strike system comes in. And you end up losing games because you're not swinging the bat and you're crying, "Oh, we're the New York Yankees. That's a ball. Oh, the umps." And like you saw Jazz. How does Jazz act like that? How does Jazz do all of that? Because the culture allows him to. The captain allows him to. The manager allows him to. You're not bigger than the team, Jazz. We needed you last night in the game. DJ LeBayu ends up batting for you. JC Escar is in the field. I don't care. Like, I love the Yankees. I'm a fan of the Yankees, but I'm tired of pretending like they're almighty. I'm tired of pretending like they're what they used to be. They're not. So this era of the Yankees, when I'm an old man and I'm telling my son about this era of the Yankees, when I worked at WFAN, when I was going to all these games, when I was doing all this stuff and they didn't win a damn thing, I'll remember why, and I'll explain to him why. Because they were told it was good enough. They were told, get them next time. They were told 6 innings, you're huffing and puffing, that's all. They weren't pushed. Let me come into the clubhouse and talk to them like this. It's not good enough. It's not okay. When you're getting up there and you're swinging for the fences and you're not thinking, when you're running into outs on the base paths, it's not okay. That's not the standard. You're supposed to be the 27-time World Series champions, all this other stuff. You just celebrated 50 million people coming through that building. It's top dollar to go there, to buy anything, to drink anything, to do anything with the Yankees. Their whole brand is built on winning World Series. We're in a drought in this city from having a parade. And they have the talent to do it. And you know what? They're going to smoke another season of Aaron Judge in his prime, another season of a Giancarlo Stanton that can hit bombs in the postseason, and a bunch of other good players on this team, from Goldschmidt to Belly to Trent Grisham to Ben Rice, and young guys like Dominguez. They're going to smoke another season with a talented team where they can go win it because the culture is soft as hell. 888-808-1019. So sorry, didn't want to rehash it, but that's how I feel. That is how I feel watching them night in and night out. That is always just, this is okay. It's all right. You can't get too high and low. Maybe you need to. Maybe somebody needs to get mad and not mad at an umpire. The same energy that Boone and Jazz have for these umpires, man, have that for each other. Hold each other accountable. 888-808-1019. Let's go to Gary and Waterbury on the fan. What's up, Gary?
Yo, McBride the Cavalier.
You're...
Yo, Cashman and Boone allow everything. You are so on point. It's their culture. They created it. It's Cashman and Boone, and they created this whole culture, and that's what they want.
So when another postseason comes,
there's no
and they come up short, don't say anything to me when I'm like, yo, this is what they foster.
It's been too many years. How many years in a row is it going to be the same thing? The definition of insanity.
World Series this year, I would love it, but something's got to change. They have too much talent, but they don't have enough. I think they don't have enough. I don't know how to put it into words, but I just put it into a bunch of words.
Yeah.
And you know it, and I know it.
No, you said it right. You said it right. You said it right perfectly. And I smash teeth after your beef, no relief. I step on stage.
The girls scream like I'm Keith.
Yo, and Foo Philly, I just wanted to bring a little levity. Foo Philly, Foo Soto. Yo, but the pitching has actually been okay this year. The pitching has been okay.
Despite not having Garrett Cole, the pitching has been great. Fried, Rodon, and Clark Schmidt are three of the best pitchers in baseball. So that's why when you have one of the best pitchers on the mound, come on, bro. Can you come out there for the seventh inning? And people want to get at me today. Oh, Keith, it was hot out there. I don't care. Did they postpone the game?
No,
you
but
gotta give us
more. No, Schmidt can hold his own too, and we need Heel back. But we need a third baseman so bad. And they got to cut bait with LeMahieu. How soon can we do that?
That's another thing, part of this culture. Oh, yeah, well, you know, he's on the roster. He's making $15 million a year, and he's been with us for the last 6 years, and the team loves him, whatever. If guys are not cutting it, cut them.
No.
If they're not good enough, cut them.
Exactly.
DJ is borderline, like, just okay. But you know what? I look at the Dodgers and their culture. The Dodgers have brought in so many players with names and told them goodbye, not good enough. Nope, not good enough for how we do things here.
Yeah, but we are in the dog days. And you know that the Yankees, they're saying we're going to be there in October. So let's keep it going. Let's roll the dice. Because we're going to be there in October.
I know we're going to be there in October. And they're going to strike out 50 times, or they're going to commit errors, or they're going to run into stupid outs. And Judge is going to be swinging out of his shoes and not be judged. Thanks for the call, Gary. 888-808-1019. I've seen it too many times. Fool me can't fool me again. They need to make some trades. But, they're going to prospect hug. They're not going to give up their top prospects to get the players that they need to put them over the hump. And they're going to say, this is fine. They're already getting you ready for that. Oh, yeah, Luis Heel coming back is like a trade deadline ad. No, it's not. Luis Heel coming back is like a young player that won Rookie of the Year last year, that was on an innings limit last year, coming back, and we have no idea what he's going to be this year. That's not like adding a Sandy Alcantara or a Jacob deGrom or who knows who's out there. Let's go to Dove and Rockland on the fan next. What's up, Dove?
Hey, Keith. AM in the AM. You're rocking it, bro. God bless you. You know what? You've got great energy, and these days there's a lot of rubbish going on in the world, and your positivity, keep it up, man. You're good. You're good. We love it. So before I make my Mets point, I just want to say something a little bit devious, a little bit evil, and I know that you're a young father and you're a Yankees fan, but I have a buddy out there. His name is Colmy. He always listens to the show, and he just had his first son. His name is Leo. Cute little kid, little Leo. And my blessing for this kid is that he grows up to be a Mets fan. My dream is to see that kid wearing a Mets jersey, and then Colmy's going to have to love him anyway. So, Colmy, if you're listening out there, let's go Mets. So, that's number one. Does that sound too devious to you?
No, because the Mets are going to have good teams for years to come, and if this kid is young, he's going to see Juan Soto for the next 15 years, and David Stearns and Steve Cohen build out, all of these plans that they have for the Mets to be prominent and be relevant for the next 15, 20 years. The Mets are not going to be what they were for people listening that are 40, that are 60, not even, because people that are 60,
I know, but
they remember the 80s.
How you gonna feel if your kid goes to school and all the kids are Mets fans and he's coming home, he's like, Daddy, I want you to get me a Mets jersey.
My son's
How you gonna feel?
son's already baptized in the Bronx. My son has already my son, Yankee game, Yankee logo, Yankee, Dad, I watch Yankee game. My son is already, he doesn't even know the Mets exist. he's so deep in, he's been to spring training. He's met players already. He's met people in the media. He's been to games. I got to bring him back to a game. He's banned from Yankee Stadium because he's crazy, but there's just a 0% chance that he'll ever become a Met fan. And then if he goes to school and all the kids are Met fans and they're great, he's just going to come home and be like, all right, Dad, let's cut on the 2009 World Series DVD.
Sounds good.
2000.
So my thing is, I want to throw out there, obviously I'm so relieved that the Mets finally got a win, and I think also the Phillies lost. I think they can hopefully catch up and turn it around. But what do you think about this talk about maybe bringing back DeGrom? Because they're like 9 games back of the Astros or something, and give it a little while. If they think that they can't do it and they can trade for him, putting on. If you were a Mets fan, would you be like? I mean, the memories are just amazing. Would you be open to that? Would you think that that's ridiculous?
No, of course, Dove. Thanks for the call. That conversation has been floating around on the fan on Mets Twitter for weeks now. Tonight, Jacob deGrom had a no-no going. I was watching Strike Zone. I was watching Big Inning, and I had the box score open. I was rooting for him to get it done against the Baltimore Orioles, and he went 6 innings, a no-hit baseball. He had a couple walks, and then Colton Cowser ended up cracking through with a hit in the 7th, and they took him out. But we also got reports today that that's not going to happen. I think it was John Heyman that reported it, but I don't see John Heyman's tweet. So I think I saw Dan Bartles as I go to pull it up. Shout out to my guy, Dan. Dan Bartles put out a tweet saying that it was unlikely, right? I don't know. I'm blocked by Heyman, so I don't. Even though I used to have alerts for Heyman's tweets, I don't see him. But Dan Bartles wrote 8 hours ago, Jacob deGrom to the Mets won't happen per John Heyman. So take that as you may. deGrom still very much has it, but if you remember, a lot of people said deGrom didn't want to be here. A lot of people said he had a little bit of an attitude. He wanted to go. So I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sure there are Met fans that are dreaming of a Mets team with Juan Soto and Jacob deGrom, but reports are telling us that that's not likely. And I think deGrom has a no-trade clause. And if he does, he's not waiving that to come back to, Jacob deGrom has a full no-trade clause in his contract with the Texas Rangers. This clause means that he can block any trade the Rangers attempt to make, preventing him from being moved to another team. And if he really doesn't want to come back to Flushing, if he really doesn't want to come back to New York, I don't think it's going down. 888-808-1019. I must have did something. We're getting these Yankee calls coming in hot. John is in Bayonne on the fan. What's up, John?
Sweet, man. I tell you, I love your rant, baby. You are definitely head on. I'm like that. I'm 66 years old. You tell that character before that. Guess what? My daughter was a Yankee fan. She was born a Yankee fan. She ain't never going to be a Met fan. Never will be, because we die Yankee blue no matter what.
It's not a reality for us. It doesn't even. There's no way.
They wish, but when it comes down to it, we need a hitman in the dugout. We need Paul O'Neill. You need the Lou Pinelli. Getting these players faced. Get out there and throw that ball, or else you're not coming back to your locker room without a beating. We need that guts in there. I don't want to hear this roll down. So I think that's garbage. I think Boone's too much with that computer. I like to see John Flaherty as the next Yankee manager. We need a guy that's a catcher that control the game, not an infielder or wherever position he plays, because he don't control the game. You look at A.J. Hinch with the Tigers. Okay? You look at these old. I was a
Kevin Cash with the Rays right now.
Yeah. Okay? You're looking at a guy that controls the game.
Alex Cora, who always has an edge over Aaron Boone when the Red Sox face the Yankees, it seems.
Right. And it comes down to it. You look at the Houston, they let go of Bregman. What are they doing now? They're back in first place. They got rid of Carrera, and they put that kid Pena at shortstop. We got to get that kind of attitude. We got to get back to the basics of the New York Yankees. We don't got that with Cashman. We don't got that with Boone. And I'm glad you spilled your guts, because I was like, wow, I can't wait to congratulate you for doing that for me, because that's how I
mean to. I'm just like it came back up from Avery, and I just started just saying how I feel. I don't want to feel this way. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to feel this way, but it's the God honest truth. Thanks for the call, John. It's the God honest truth. And this is from my experience watching as a grown man and being in this chair and going to these games and sitting by myself in my apartment and putting notes together to do the show. I'm like, they're soft. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what Brad Ausmus is saying as the bench coach. I don't know what James Rawson is saying as the hitting coach. What is that dugout like? How come nobody's saying, hey, lock in? We just need one here. Like tonight, they were 4 for 22 with runners in scoring position. Yeah, they won, but they won because like they did enough, and they had Max Fried on the mound who wasn't giving up anything besides that run. That run is on Jazz, and it actually doesn't fall under his earned runs. But like, I just wonder, with these guys swinging out of their shoes, with these guys having these, I'm like, how is nobody in the dugout being like, hey, lock in, you're up next? Like, talking about approach. You know, they have the iPad for a reason. Like, help these guys out. And sometimes to help a guy out, like, you need to you are coaches. You need to have authority over them. It does not need to be so buddy and like this fear of like upsetting guys or whatever. Like, sometimes they need a kick in the ass, especially when they're losing and going through the motions and getting embarrassed. It's like, why are the fans more embarrassed than the players? Kyle is in West Orange. Before we get to the break, Kyle, you're on.
Well, I gotta say, Keith, since I've been listening to you from day one before your little one was born, and man, are you preaching the gospel? It's finally got to you. You see, if Steinbrenner was living, first of all, Soto would have been a Yankee. We would have given him his money and given him what he wanted, because you saw what he did when he was playing alongside Aaron Judge. But with this team, you are right. They are too soft. It's the temperament of the team. And it's not just Boone. They like Boone because he follows what Cashman and everybody else in the upper office wants him to do. But if Steinbrenner, the boss, was here, there would have been some heads rolled. Trust me when I tell you. And everybody who is 57 and older has saw the Yankees in the 70s and in the 80s and in the 90s. Okay? He would have said, he would have done something. This is how look they like it. When Joe Girardi was the coach and he was getting into Sanchez, they told him to back off. And then they got rid of Joe Girardi. That was the last manager that took this team to the World Series and won. We are happy with being second best in New York City in the Bronx. And we have to face it. Because they're not going to do anything because we sell out every time. They sell out. And when Steinbrenner changed, when the Yankees changed in the 90s, when the Yankees were okay in the 80s, but when they weren't filling the stadium in the 90s, things started to change. And until that happens, we'll be happy to be second best. We'll be good enough to win, maybe good enough to get into the World Series. But when we get there, we're not going to beat teams like the Dodgers. We're not going to beat teams like Houston. And that's the way it is. And that's the way I look at it. And I look at it because I'm tired of watching. I'm tired of watching how these guys can't run bases. This is baseball. They can't figure out how to hit. If you can't figure out how to go to YouTube and watch what Pete Rose has to say if you're going into a slump. Watch what these guys have to say. These old timers. They tell you how to make adjustments. I'm quite sure they know how. They know what they're doing. They just can't. The team it's mind-boggling how this is happening. Oh, we need to go. Everybody thinks okay, we just go out and get players. Well, it doesn't work like that anymore. They don't want to spend the money like that. They let Soto go to the Mets.
Yeah, but they have the talent, and thanks for the call, Kyle. They have the talent, and that's what frustrates me. You get embarrassed by your rivals, the Boston Red Sox, in your building. And then you go to Beantown and janky ass Fenway, you get embarrassed up there, swept. There's a player who's a rookie on their team that makes up stories about his dad being drafted by the Yankees and how he hates the Yankees and says he'd never sign with you even if it was the last team to offer him a contract. He shoves it up your ass. He literally both times pitched against you and just like dominated all of you. Then you come home against the Anaheim Angels. They just got back to 500 and the losing streak continues. You can't score. You can't take the lead. You are so embarrassing. And you have all of these millionaire players, all of this talent, and you can't figure it out. You know why? Because it's okay. You just pat them on the back. I'll get them next time. And you take up for them. You tell them it's all right. There used to be a standard of excellence. There used to be a passion, a pride, passion, and pinstripe. There used to be an obsession with winning. They need to get back to that. And I don't know how they get back to that. I don't know who, and it starts at the top. And like, I have gotten to the point as a fan where I'm tired of it. You know why? Because every year that goes on that I'm on WFAN, every year that goes on that more people become aware of me, the more I become synonymous with the New York Yankees, the more I can't hide from it. And I don't get any at-bats. I don't get to throw the ball. I don't play. But my phone lights up when the Yankees get swept. My phone lights up when the Yankees get shut out. My Twitter, my Instagram, people want to lay into me because they know I'm feeling some type of way. So what can I do? This is what I do. I come here and rock the mic. This is what I do. So I'll use the power that I have, and I'll speak how I feel. And if you feel differently, call me up. If you feel the same, call me up. We got to take a break. 888-808-1019. When we come back, we'll do the big shot of the night, and we'll talk a little bit about the Mets as well because they need to have some fire in them too. They needed a kick in the ass. I just talked about the Red Sox owning the Yankees. If the Braves don't make your skin crawl, if the Braves don't make this Mets team want to wake up and absolutely fight, then I don't know what is. I don't know what will. KM to AM returns right after this.
You're juggling work, life, and receipt.
It's a long story. It's a long story. Let me go back into the chat, yo. Why did John Heyman block me? Because he's soft. I had him on my show and I made light of a few things and I tried to joke around and lighten the mood about Juan Soto and his connection to Scott Boras and Boras Corp, as well as his mistake with Arson Judge. I didn't really think that it was anything that he should be, 2 years later talking about, feeling bad about it. And I tried to tell him like, it's not a big deal. And like, yo, that's like baseball history and people put that on shirts and like, yo, everybody in baseball knows you. And like, you should get 10% of Juan Soto's contract. We know that you're kind of, working with Boris. Like, that's the thing. And he blew up. He blew up. He didn't like that. So, yeah. Okay, here's where I was in the chat. Well, what's up, Jack? Nick is in here now. What's up, Keith? Nice bounce back W for the Yankees. Not surprised they had success against Brady Singer. Exactly. You better. Former Royal, we've had success and we've seen before. We'll see. That's exactly what Ben said earlier. Right. Like I'm not going crazy over one game off the Reds where you still left a ton of runners on base. Yeah, I try not to bring George into it. This is, I guess, when I was, going in. Wasn't going to come back on chat tomorrow night, but I think he's just true creature. Yeah, it is what it is, yo. Everything about the Yankees is still the Yankees, except them winning championships. Except them winning. Yeah, I'll be on. 5-hour KM to AM. I'm sure we'll get into it. Sometimes the best moments on the radio are moments where you speak freely and you're not like there's no notes on that, and that's just how I honestly feel. Like yesterday, them taking Rodon out at 6 innings, 88 pitches was just them getting too comfortable, them being soft, saying, this is good enough. Oh, you're tired? Come on out. You're competing. This is Major League Baseball. We're struggling. Go compete. If you give up a homer, so be it. It's 3-1. If you give a hit up, okay, we'll take you out. But like, I don't want to hear that you're huffing and puffing after 88 pitches. And that's why we went to Jonathan Loaizaga, who was sick the other day and didn't have it. What I said is like, when the decision leads to bad results, then I have an issue with it. If the decision leads to the right result, I don't have a problem with it. Them taking out Clark Schmidt at 103 pitches, that's fine. But taking out Rodon at 88, like, we need a little more from you, bro. We need a little more from you, at least the attempt. And I think that's the manager coddling them. I think that it just fosters this clubhouse of like, we're good. Nope. We're doing everything we got to do. And it's not right. All right, here we go. Oh, my bad. I meant to queue up a big shot. We'll do it. We got time. We'll do it in the 1 o'clock hour. Okay, we're back. Working on a few things here. Also streaming live on YouTube. McPherson Brand on YouTube. Keith McPherson on Twitter, Twitch. A lot of people in the live streaming in the chat just talking about, different things with the Yankees. And I said I wanted to talk Mets because, what you're seeing out of Juan Soto is what you dreamed of, what you hoped for, what you weren't getting in the beginning of the year. And I expect it to continue now. I mean, it's hot now. He is well into the season. And like I said, Juan Soto's a me guy. He wants to be in that all-star game down there in Atlanta coming up. He wants to be an all-star. So he's swinging for the fences, and he's trying to get right. And when you're facing a rookie like Didier Fuentes coming into this game, everybody knows this is an opportunity to get right. The whole team, 13 hits tonight. Nimmo with a hit. Soto with 2 hits, 4 homers. Alonso with a hit. Still need a little bit more out of Alonso. McNeil with 2 hits. Beatty with 2 hits. Mauricio with 3 hits, as he might potentially be out the door. But a huge 4th inning where you get him up out of there. A huge 4th inning where you let your fans exhale. And the whole thing I was saying about the Braves is like, this is your nemesis. And this is the bully. When are the Mets going to stand up to the bully? They stood up some tonight. Let's see if they're able to follow up today. 888-808-1019. Ross is in Bergen County on the Fan. What's up, Ross? Good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. It was about damn time they finally got against the win. And I saw the stats. I think you brought up my fault. Soto, I think, has the most multi-homer games at his age, like 25 and younger or something. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He's been his pretty much. And the fact that he's got a couple under his belt here, even in the down start to the year, I mean, that's a testament to who he's been throughout his whole career.
But yeah, it's about his at bats. It's about how he's on pitches, especially like, if he gets to see a guy twice, good luck. And this is what he does. That's part of his. I saw him do it with the Yankees. I bet on it. Go ahead and bet Juan Soto 2-homer games when he's in this groove like this. It's funny now. I deleted the app and stopped betting, mostly because of the Yankees. But I wasted so much money on Juan Soto early in the year. Now is the time to be betting Juan Soto to homer, Juan Soto 2-homer, Juan Soto total bases.
Well, I'll say this, not only that, you look at the inning where they kind of, tacked on all the runs, just the fact that you saw some life in the runners in scoring position overall, too, on a separate note. Mauricio and I heard early on in the broadcast, they're talking about Vientos being on the cusp of coming back from the injury and the rehab assignment. If it was Mauricio or Beatty being the odd man out, and I think Hernandez was saying Mauricio was the odd man out.
Yeah, should be Jared Young, but I was talking about position wise. You don't need to have three guys that can play second and third base.
Yeah, well, I think Vientos, with how bad he is with the glove, it almost feels like he's a bona fide DH at this point, which is nuts.
He made a nice play down in Syracuse. I clipped that and put it in my notes. He made a nice play going to his right at Syracuse, so he's working on it.
He took Syracuse, you sent Beatty back down there, all of a sudden he turns into George Brett. They call him the quadruple A player. He rides like a 15,000 OPS every time he's down there. You're talking about everything, early on in the year, he started off like 1 for 40. We were talking about the same old experiment. You see him just mash the ball spring training, triple A when he started the year up there, and then when he got up here, he's awful. He got a little comfortable like that 2-week stretch where he was the only guy hitting, and now the fact it's kind of a debate, and I can't believe they finally pulled the ball, not permanently, but on sending Alvarez back down, even Acuna. The fact that, the same old rhetoric, all these baby Mets, that really, aside from Vientos for, I'd say, the majority of last year, and obviously the postseason he had, none of them have panned out. And to consider, it's a huge concern, but just, sticking it tonight, when the only guy in the lineup who doesn't have a hit is Lindor, and you not only finally get one against Atlanta, but it's this expansion, that ninth inning, you never make heat. But, it's good to finally get one on the board against Miname. If you could come out of this series with a split tomorrow, it's not as bad as it could have possibly been. But, hey, man.
You got the one you had to get. You got the one you had to get tonight. Thanks for the call, Ross. 888-808-1019. Griffin Canning going tomorrow. No guarantees there. I expect a battle, and I expect it to be a battle where both teams are scoring and fighting to – the Braves are trying to win the series. The Mets are trying to work a split. The Braves weren't able to take the series today. They showed some fight at the end, but ultimately the Mets get off the mat led by Juan Soto. Stay tuned for the big shot of the night. Lou is in Massapequa on the Fan. What's up, Lou? Okay, we lost Lou. Let's go to Christian in Queens next up on WFA and the Fan in New York. Are you there, Christian? There we go. What's up, man?
I just want to let you know I'm a pretty young guy, 22. I'm a Yankees fan my whole life. Last time they won the series, I was, I guess 7. I think I was 7 years old last time they saw them win the World Series. Can't remember any of this, but, remember my father being excited for that. I just want to say what you said tonight about the Yankees was head on for me, perfect. It was exactly everything, I see as a big-time Yankees fan out there. And lately it's been more of a, I'm kind of in the minority over here being in Queens, but it's definitely becoming more of a Mets town out here. All the big-time acquisitions, all the weddings they're getting,
Yeah, because, think about it, right? The Yankees, and what I was saying in my rant a little bit is what they sell. They sell their championships. They sell that they have 27 championships and that every year they compete for a championship. But every year that they don't actually win, that they don't add 28, that erodes. That is wearing off. The Mets are selling now, hey, this is a rebrand. We're going to win a championship. We have the richest owner in the sport. We have one of the smartest minds in the sport. We know we're the Mets, but eventually, right, that will wear off. Eventually, the curse of being the Mets will wear off when we keep adding players like Juan Soto, when we keep finding young talent, and we keep, so for what the Mets are also doing in their rebrand off the field, all of the giveaways and the marketing items and the Mets house and the things that the Yankees won't do, which I'm fine with because the Yankees are the Yankees. They don't need a mascot race. They don't need a dance crew on top of the dugout because of like their their prestige and their buttoned up and their class and like whatever, because that's how they present. There are some people that are like, I'm not into all that serious buttoned up stuff. I want to wear a Grimace costume to the ballpark. I want to lean into those fun, playful things. It's a baseball game. It's not supposed to be that serious. So if you combine the fun and the other things with actually winning and good baseball as well, I do see some of these kids picking up that Mets hat. I do see the Met fan and the Met fan base saying, hey, we are not little brother anymore. They are, but they are respectable. They were in first place. They were winning all of their games at home. They were on a run to start the season. They made it to the NLCS last year. Juan Soto chose them. So yeah, as the Yankees keep playing like it's all good, like, yeah, we're good. Don't worry. No, we'll get them next time. Yeah, no, this team is still, it's a long way to go. And when they come up short, the Mets are gaining ground in some places with their rebrand and being competitive. And I'm telling you, I don't know when it's going to happen. When they do eventually win that World Series, I pray that it is not before the Yankees add 28, because that is when you'll see a shift as well. We're seeing a shift I'm wearing a Brooklyn Nets jersey right now. I watched the Brooklyn Nets get the big time players and have all the hype of them winning with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. I saw how many young kids were coming to Barclays Center and picking up Nets gear. And then when that blew up, and then the Knicks started getting right with Brunson and Hart and this team they have now, all these young kids are Knicks fans. It can swing like that.
Yeah, completely. Went to Barclays a couple of times when KD and Kyrie and Harden were all there. I'm a Knicks fan for life, but when the Nets got that,
The Nets were winning. They had a first place team in the East. They had superstars. They were on national television. There was a thought that they could bring a championship back. They were attracting fans. The Yankees, and thanks for the call, Christian. The Yankees have to understand something that I understood. When the Brooklyn Nets came to Brooklyn, they kind of held the Knicks accountable because they said, you're not the only ticket in town. You're not the only team in town. You have the fans, yeah. But we're slowly building and becoming something that you have to respect. And if we beat you, and if we're in the playoffs and you're not, then we're gaining ground on you. We're holding you accountable where you can't just run any bums out there. And so the Knicks, they changed their front office, they changed their head coach, and they did get relevant with Tom Thibodeau. They did start winning. They did get better because just to hold off their own in-state rival. It's a thing. And I know I'm a Yankee fan. The Yankees are so far out ahead of the Mets as far as their ticket sales, as far as their value. Like I just pulled yesterday, if I go back to my notes, the boardroom put out, what the teams in Major League Baseball are worth. And I don't think we talk about enough how much money Steve Cohen is putting into the Mets out of his own pocket. It isn't because the Mets are generating that much money, but the New York Yankees are worth $8.4 billion. The Dodgers are in second, worth $7.7 billion. The Red Sox are in third at $6 billion. The Cubs are in fourth at $5.7 billion. And the San Francisco Giants are fifth at 4.2. I don't know where the Mets rank, but when we measure those type of things, attendance, money, profit, those are the Yankees are so far out and ahead of the Mets. And when we talk about history, of course, the winning, the history of what the Yankees have been able to do, way ahead of the Mets. But if we talk about present day and modern time, the Mets are now starting to put consistently 38,000 people in their building. Their building isn't as big as Yankee Stadium. That is good for their place. Juan Soto is turning on his, why you paid him, his superpowers, and being Juan Soto. Get that guy to the postseason. He could power you through. The Yankees have to win another World Series. And I fear with this mentality that they have, with this approach that they have of analytics, scheduled rest. No, don't call the players out. Protect the players. It just fosters this soft clubhouse. It fosters this it doesn't turn into being champs. I'm sorry to say it, but I've just seen it. It's turning them into a team that is living off of the past. This team hasn't won anything. You went to the World Series and got embarrassed. You went to the World Series, and it was one of the more embarrassing World Series we've seen in recent time. The way you got gentlemen swept, almost swept. The way you had Game 5 and coughed it up. That's not respectable. And your fans have to wear that and deal with that. How does it change? When does it change? Well, we know you're not going to change your analytical approach with schedule rest and your lineups and your numbers. Okay, Rodon. 88 pitches, you're huffing and puffing. Good enough, because beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Computer says we'll go Loizaga, Weaver, Williams, done. No, there is another team over there trying to beat you. There has to be a heartbeat. There has to be a human element. There has to be a feel to the game. There has to be a compete level of, yo, you're rolling. You usually pitch into the 7th inning, right? 88 pitches isn't enough. Like huffing and puffing. Like, can you not walk? Like, I gotta push that guy. Like, this is the Yankees. There's got to be a compete level, a standard. There used to be. And if you, like I said, that panel, I watched that panel. I didn't see it live at Fanatics Fest. I don't know what I was doing, but like when you listen to the stories about what the Yankees used to be like with these guys, one, there was like a fear of George for sure. There was like a fear of George Steinbrenner, because if you don't perform, he could trade you, or just having to deal with his wrath. So there was a fear. I don't think any of these Yankees fear anything. They're set up good, all of them. But then there also was a standard of excellence between teammates, holding each other accountable in the clubhouse. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you don't want to be in the bad graces of the guy next to you. And if you don't want, like, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know where that is. Judge is all world, but Judge isn't a rah-rah guy. He isn't a rah-rah captain. I don't think they fear him at all. Jazz don't fear him. Like, there's so many little things that you see with the Yankees that tell you what goes on. It's all good. It's a country club. It's all good. These guys are told that they're the best players and that they're the Yankees and they're going to win the division and they're going to go back to the World Series. And then when they come up short, it's us that walk around with our Yankee hats and our pinstripes and our jerseys that got to wear it, that got to deal with it. Greg is in Aberdeen. Greg, you're on the Fan. Good evening.
Obviously, the lack of fire, or you feel that the Yankees could be a little bit more intense. I agree with you 100%. That's a little frustrating. They are a very talented group. There's something about the accountability. I think that comes from Boone. But my feeling is that the press doesn't hold them accountable, doesn't hold these coaches accountable, doesn't push it a little bit. Maybe it's because they want a story instead of them getting shut out. Do you believe it? Do you think that there's some truth to that?
I just was talking about fear, how the players used to fear George, and there might have even been some fear. I think there's definitely some fear in the press. I think the press fear the Yankees. I think they fear because they travel with the team. They want to be on their good side. They don't want to ask certain questions. Yeah, everybody is way too comfortable. It's time to get uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. This stretch of Yankee baseball has made me very uncomfortable.
I agree. I think that the press back in the 70s and 80s, they pushed a little bit harder. I mean, we don't have to have a manager as Billy Martin. We don't have.
I think we lost Greg. That's okay. We got a break. 888-808-1019. We'll continue to take your calls on the Mets and the Yankees. You could tell me it's early. You could tell me that it's a June swoon and this too shall pass. It'll be over and they'll get back to whatever. But what it is, it's like there are reoccurring themes here in this era of the Yankees, and there are reoccurring themes that I ultimately believe will rear their ugly heads and stop them again from achieving the ultimate goal of winning the World Series, which is what they are built on, which is what they sell, which is why they have this global brand, which is why they're worth so much money. They're built off the past and winning championships. They need another one. They need a modern day championship for that to be valid. 888-808-1019. 1 hour to go. Keith McPherson on the Fan. I'll be right back.
The owner of the Mets and his wife personally DM you inviting you to a Pride Night game, you show face. Me at a sporting event? What? This was my outfit at the game, and Katrina and I tucked into the 7 train like sardines. But we arrived early to grab our free rainbow flag and tank before heading to the owner's box, which was obviously decorated in rainbow and filled with the gays and allies. But honestly, look at this view. Could I name one Mets player? Probably not, but I can eat delicious food, and you know I...
Last year, he's the watch on yes. R2.
Yeah. Jacqueline.
Oh, yeah, let's do it here. Good night for Dominguez. I'll give Dominguez an honorable mention here. The thing is, though, bro, like that fire that Jazz had, you said, everyone was mad about Jazz getting tossed. At least he gives a rip. That was selfish. He gives a rip about himself. That's not about the team. Because if he was locked in and cared about the team, he would have stopped. Because we needed him to play defense and to bat in extra innings. That was an ego trip. That was selfish. I don't look at it as him being mad about the losing.
Good morning at 1 o'clock. I'm Marco Belletti. Mets able to breathe and relax for one night at least. They drubbed the Braves 7-3 thanks to a pair of homers from Juan Soto. Nat from SNY, Ronnie Mauricio went deep as well. Clay Holmes, 5 innings, a 1-run ball. Mets snapping a 5-game skid against the Braves, notching just their second win over the last 12 games. Yankees dominate the Reds 7-1. Jazz Chisholm went deep while Jason Dominguez had 4 hits. Same for Trent Grisham. Bombers offense notching 13 hits in all. Max Fried benefited from the offensive explosion. Didn't need much, though. Fired 7 innings, a 1-run ball. It was unearned with 7 Ks. And Cooper Flagg goes number 1 overall to the Mavericks. Dylan Harper second to the Spurs. Fellow Rutgers teammate Ace Bailey, he goes to the Jazz at 5. For the Nets, they took Yegor Demon, number 8 out of BYU. Nolan Traore from France, 19th. Drake Powell, 22. Ben Saraf at 26. And they wrap up the 5 picks with Danny Wolf, 27th overall. 85 degrees, clear skies, Central Park. That's happening. I'm Marco Belletti.
Okay, here we go. The big shot of the night is brought to you by WFAN and me, Keith McPherson. Bright lights, big city. In New York, we got a bunch of big shots. But right now, it's the highest paid player in the game that gets the big shot of the night, the generational Juan Soto. Not one, but 2 homers tonight. And another multi-homer game. That's history made. With his 27th career multi-homer game, Juan Soto passes Jimmy Fox for the most in Major League Baseball history before turning 27. Juan Soto is the first Met in history to have 10 home runs, 20 runs, and 20 walks in a calendar month. And the month is not over. Juan Soto now has 19 home runs, and he's the leader for home runs for the Mets. Juan Soto is giving you the return on investment that you wanted. I think he's got 4 home runs against the Braves. And I would expect him to follow suit today in this game that's going to decide whether the Braves take the series or the Mets split the series. It just took a little bit of time. Juan Soto is a Met. Juan Soto is not sad about being a Met. Juan Soto is not missing anything. Juan Soto is a cyborg robot programmed to see baseball, hit baseball. And he's absolutely doing it right now. In this month of June, he's trying to make a push to be in the 2025 All-Star game down there in Atlanta. And I think you're going to see him down there. He's always at the All-Star game. So big shot of the night goes to Juan Soto. Honorable mention, we'll pour up a little double shot for 2 Yankees, 3 Yankees. Max Fried first, the stopper, the ace. Max Fried, a guy that you can count on, a guy that you expect to go out there and do what he's supposed to do when you need him to do it, to compete, whether it's fielding his position, picking guys off, striking guys out. He goes 7 innings, 4 hits, gives up 1 run. That's on Jazz. 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And then, we'll pour up a double shot for Grish and for the Martian. Trent Grisham in center, Jason Dominguez in left, both of them having 4 hit nights. Dominguez stealing a couple bases and Grisham driving in a run for the New York Yankees. 888-808-1019. Keith McPherson on the Fan, taking your calls on the Yankees, taking your calls on the Mets, as the Mets really are just, happy to get their first win against the Braves. They rough up a rookie pitcher. And now against Holmes tomorrow, Griffin Canning's got to hold it down. And you got to try and split the series. And for the Yankees, they just leave with a little bit of dignity, not getting swept by the Reds. But, whether you were listening in the last hour or not, I'm getting texts. I got people in the chat, and we've got some calls. I kind of went on a little bit of a rant that I wasn't expecting to do, and it just kind of came from what we were talking about last night, and people going back and forth on it. Like, I'm not the Yankee fan that's going to be an apologist, that's going to coddle the Yankees or take up for them. I love the team. I love the franchise. I love the organization, and there are great people that work in the organization that I've been able to meet and all of that. But I want to win. I am a sore loser. I am tired of losing. I'm tired of being embarrassed. And this stretch of losing back-to-back series to the Boston Red Sox, losing at home 3 in a row to the Angels and having that scoreless inning streak and not having a lead, then losing that first game to the Orioles where you should have won, and then going to Cincinnati and losing those first 2 games. And then even tonight, yeah, they won behind Max Fried, but when you scroll down, team with runners in scoring position, they're 4 for 22. Somebody tweeted me that's a 189 batting average. They left 12 on, so they're still not completely clicking and figuring it out. And there's just too many little things that have happened in this stretch that show you the cracks in their armor and what type of team they are. And the reason that I think Yankee fans are getting loud and you're hearing criticism of the manager and of players and of the organization is because these are reoccurring themes. It's not just with this team, because this team has a bunch of new players. Trent Grisham didn't play last year, not enough. Ben Rice barely played. Dominguez barely played. You know what I'm saying? Goldie wasn't on this team last year. Max Fried wasn't on this team last year. Belly wasn't on this team last year. Devin Williams wasn't on this team. Fernando Cruz wasn't on. Like, there are new players on this team, but yet the same Yankees are out there. Why? It's because of the culture that they foster. A culture of, listen, we're going to go off analytics and numbers. We're going to rest players. We're going to do things by our book, by our beep, boop, beep, boop, boop, our computer system. And you guys just go out there and be the New York Yankees, living off the Yankees of the past. You guys just go out there and we'll protect you in the media. We're not going to rip you. And you know what? The only time we're going to get mad is at these umpires. I just had somebody in my chat, talk about Jazz. And shout out to everybody in my chat. Bourbon Legend, you're my guy. But he said, I'm so effing mad that everybody was mad at Jazz. He gets tossed. At least he gives a rip. He doesn't take the L and go back to the dugout. And I had to disagree. I'm like, no. I feel like you saw that wrong. That was Jazz and his own ego. That was Jazz being selfish. He cost the team. Right? That was Jazz letting an umpire and a bad call. That bad call and that at bat, he wasted his whole at bat off that. And then he carried that into the field. And then Trevino, being a snitch tattletale, basically telling him, hey, look, he's mounting off. Got him. I literally was watching the game and I tweeted out, Jazz, be quiet. Be quiet. You can't beat the umpires. They are the authority. And then when Boone comes out and gives you a forearm, go. And when Judge has authority, go. That is allowed. You can't even bench Jazz. You know why? Because you need his bat in the lineup, and he homered today. Needed it. You can't even bench him to kind of teach him a lesson about, hey, like I said last night, I like the guy's swag and energy and his style and his speed, left-handed bat, what he brings to the table. But I'm like, he's going to run himself out of here with the way that he acts. You're not bigger than the team. No one is. So him getting tossed, and even Boone, who has turned it down, but all those years of Boone wearing these umpires out, doing the last Diaz ejection, like mimicking him and how he calls balls and strikes, the Savages in the box. You're having a bad day. Like that in the beginning felt like a guy who had his players' backs and all this stuff, but really what it did was turn a lot of umpires against us. And what it showed me is like, yo, you have all that energy for the guys officiating the game, calling the game, but we never see that energy for the players when they run into outs, when they don't know how many outs there are, or like, make stupid mistakes, or their approach isn't there, and maybe he does that behind closed doors, but we don't see that. And what we see is these mistakes over and over again, which leads me to believe that these guys just show up. It must be great to be a New York Yankee, man. Every city you go, you're in Great American Ballpark, they're chanting, "Let's go Yankees," as you lose the series. They're chanting, "Let's go Yankees." You guys have the top flight everything. Brand new clubhouse. I've seen it. I've seen it. It is nice, state of the art compared to some of these other ball clubs where the owners penny pinch and they don't do things. These guys are kings of New York off of what Jeter did. These guys are kings of New York off of the 5 rings that Jeter and Pettit and those guys won. The New York, like, they need to win their own ring. They need to get to the World Series and win their own chip. 888-808-1019. And you know what's stopping them? This culture, this soft-ass culture that they fostered that, "No, you're all right. No, yeah, there were some good at-bats. And, oh, no, yeah, for the most part, his pitches were good. Oh, no, yeah, this too shall pass. And it's okay. Oh, it's hot out there, Rodon. Yeah, you got it, bro. 88 pitches. We don't need you to throw you out there in the 7. If things unravel, you know what it is. We had to get him out. And, oh, yeah, we know Loizaga was sick or whatever, but Mark Leiter Jr. threw 27 pitches the night before. We'll run him back out there because we don't have anybody else. And, yeah, DJ LeMahieu, he's going to keep playing because he's making $15 million, and we like the guy, and we don't want to cut bait with him. We don't want to do better. And, no, we also don't want to trade our prospects to get better players because this is what we are. We make a ton of money. We sell a ton of tickets, and we've got a ton of fans that are going to show up to this ballpark, like me, stupid ass me, for years now, 40, 50 games a year. And in these last 4 years, hand up, I'm blessed. I'm not paying for the tickets. I'm paying for gas. I'm paying for tolls. I'm not buying food in there. I told you I bought a tall boy for my boy Omi for his birthday. When I rang it up, it was $18.32. I said, "Oh, I don't know." Yo, I'll be in there buying tall boys all night for $18. Not me. But like, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. As much as these tickets cost, as much as the food costs, the beer costs, they gotta win. We deserve a parade. And I think that somebody in the building, somebody in the clubhouse needs to put their foot down and say, yo, enough is enough. We have enough talent to win. We have more than enough talent. We have the best player in the game. We have one of the best pitchers in the game. We have 3 of the best pitchers in the game. We've got more hitters than we can put in the lineup. It's a mentality. I was putting the Kobe meme out under all these people telling me about, "Oh, Keith, lay off Rodon. He's been good this year." He owes that to us. He was trash. He gets paid $27 million. He's just starting to figure it out in year 3. Excuse me. Oh, the heat index was, I don't care. Did they postpone the game? I think it's soft. I think it's a weak-ass excuse. Oh, he couldn't go anymore. Was he on an oxygen tank? Or was he with the trainers? And all I'm saying with that, going back to it, they won tonight. Great. I knew they were going to win tonight. I barely watched it. I was watching the draft, and it was a good break. It was a good break from sweating every at bat, every out. But the more and more I was reading comments, and the more and more I was thinking about it, I'm like, yo, they've got some of y'all brainwashed. They've got some of y'all really fooled. Fool me can't fool me again. Like, I see it. They're supposed to be competing. They're supposed to be laying it on the line. Yes, even in June. Because you know what? You're in a bad stretch. Yes, even in June. Because aren't you trying to have a lead in first? Tampa Bay, they don't care. You know what a joke it'll be? You know what an absolute joke it'll be if you lose this lead to Tampa Bay, even for a day. even for a day. They're talking about where they're going to play their postseason games. We'll get to it. I got to get to the phones because my time's going to expire. Michael is out on Staten Island. Mike, you're on the fan. Yeah, I don't know if Jorge wants to do that every day and night and spring training, whatever. But I mean, he does need to come around. I think the players need to come around more. I know they'll be back for Old Timers Day, but that standard that used to exist, that fear that used to exist, that just bravado that used to be with the Yankees, that needs to come back. It needs to come back. Thanks for the call, Michael. And the beard policy thing, I mean, I feel two ways about it. I agree with you that the beard policy thing made everybody fall in line. And that was the whole thing, like George and bringing that as like a military thing where like, you're a Yankee. This is what you do as far as like falling in line with everybody else. You're no better than everybody else. But I also felt like it was a detriment. And like, when you look now, like this version of Clark Schmidt, you're getting with a beard. This version of Rodon, you're getting with a beard. Devin Williams has figured it out now where even, last night, 2 nights ago, they only threw him for 9 pitches. You know why? And what I gathered from listening to people and reading online, because I was like, explain that to me. How come he can't come out again? They traded for this guy to be the closer. And the way that the winding road of the baseball season went, from him being terrible to him going on paternity leave to him having people chant, "We want Weaver," to him losing that spot, he's back to where they wanted him to be. He's back to being the closer now. He's back to pitching in the 9th inning. And they don't want to screw that up. They have it set up the way they want with Weaver setting him up. You know what I'm saying? And they don't want to shake his confidence at all. They don't want to bring him back out and then he lose that game in the 10th. They'd much rather put that on Mark Leiter Jr. because it's just a game in June. It's just a series in June. That's something I don't get either. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. It's just a game in June, just a series in June against a National League team. No big deal. No biggie. Positive Keithy. No biggie. I don't live like that. I've never been that way. I'm a sore ass loser, This stretch of Yankee baseball has pissed me off. This stretch of watching these guys, they're too good. There's too many good players. The defense is better this year. The hitting, there's too many good hitters for me to watch them fold the way they folded through this stretch. Embarrass us the way that they did in this stretch. 16 games in 16 days. They went 7-9. Not good enough. Not good enough. And I feel like they're in a culture where nobody tells them this is not good enough. They show up to the ballpark and they're kings. They show up to the ballpark and they're untouchable. They show up to the ballpark, they're superstars. Jazz talking about, I got to come back tomorrow and impress my fans. What? We got a job to do. The umpires got to call the game, and I got to come back and impress my fans. You're on a team. You're on the most famous team. It's not about impressing your fans. It's about winning the game for the Yankee fans. We're not trying to be impressed with your home runs or your speed, or we're trying to win the World Series. 888-808-1019. Josh is in Passaic on the fan. What's up, Josh? Good. I've reached my point. I see clearly now that the rain is gone. I see all through all of this. I'm like, this is a product of the culture that they foster. This is a product of patting these guys on the back when they don't come through, when they don't do. And this is a product of time. It's a long season. Yeah, it's a long season until you get to the postseason and these same things pop up again. And it's like, oh, what have we learned? Listen, somebody called and they were like, we wouldn't be here without Boone or whatever. I think there are other managers that can manage this Yankee team. The amount of talent that the Yankees have, I think there are other managers that can manage this team to a good amount of wins. I don't have a problem with Boone. But what I've been saying about Boone is these are his Yankees. It's under his watch. If they don't get to the World Series this year and win it, that's another year. He got another extension. And so basically what you're telling all of us is like coming up short, coming in second is fine. Basically what you're telling everybody is like, it's a crapshoot. We don't expect to win. We don't think that we're just supposed to win. And as fans, we grew up with this team expecting to win. As fans, we grew up with this team being conditioned to win, to go to the World Series and win. So if they come up short this year, and the way that they came up short last year, being mocked, being ridiculed, being laughed at, being gifted and memed, and having the whole Dodgers team talk about, our scouting report, they're supposed to have a standard of excellence that's better than that. They're supposed to perform better than that. Simple as that. Yeah, no, I mean, just something that I will add. George Steinbrenner has been gone for over a decade. And even when he was here, like he was kind of like, I think it's just easy. It's low hanging fruit for people to say, well, George, whatever, like they should be able to win a World Series without George Steinbrenner. They should have a standard of excellence without George Steinbrenner. There's not one other person with a passion for winning. There's not one other person that just is like crazy about doing things the right way and getting the most out of these guys. There has to be. Yeah, there is a team, and hopefully they're somewhat competitive this year, and not just at the bottom of the East. We'll see what these kids turn into. We don't know what their thought process was with why they drafted these kids. I just saw on Twitter though, and I didn't even put this together. The last two picks, I guess Wolf and Sarif from Israel, those players are Jewish. And somebody has a tweet that's got over 31K views, and it says, Brooklyn Jews will be pulling up to Barclays Center after finding out the Nets drafted two Jews with back-to-back picks. And obviously it's a joke, but that just brought that to my attention. Like, yeah, why not? Like, why not lean into that? And it might be coincidence, but I think that's smart to do. Oh my. Wow. So there was an accident and people were getting out to help the people that were in the accident. And then another accident started because people were terrible. There's in that much of a rush. And what I always say, I'm driving in the car with my wife, like I'm always on the brake. I can drive aggressive. But I like my car and I'm not trying to mess with my car. And I'm like, everybody is so entitled around here. Everybody's more important than the next person. Everybody's destination is more important than the next person. That's terrible. Like even me thinking about that, like just slow down or stop. Like, somebody needs help, but you guys got to get home or get to wherever you're going that bad. That's unfortunate. But everybody that you know is good. Everybody that, you know, have to. Thanks for the call, Josh. Yeah, so, similar to the Yankees, right? We thought with them beating the Orioles and winning back-to-back day games, oh yeah, congratulations to the Yankees winning a night game. They actually won a night game. I think we thought we were out of the woods, Yankee fans. I think Yankee fans were like, all right, good. We shook off the scoreless streak and we were able to score. We're good. We're all right. But then they go into Cincinnati and you get the Judge solo shot, then nada. And then a couple decisions don't go our way, and then they lose that game in extras and lose the series. Now they're getting a much-needed off day, the Yankees, and we'll see how they look at home against the Sacramento A's. For the Mets, they need this game. They don't need to lose back-to-back series to the Atlanta Braves, a team that was 13 games back that they're breathing oxygen into. They need to, on reversible bucket hat night, and that bucket hat is actually dope. Like, I'm not a Mets fan, I would never wear it, but if I was a Mets fan, to have a bucket hat in your traditional colors that flips to your City Connect colors, that's dope. The Yankees don't have a City Connect. They just gave out the bucket hat last week, and it looked like, I don't know, I didn't get it. It didn't look like something I would rock. But anyway, it's important that the Mets build off this, get back-to-back wins, and then go into this series against the Pirates in Pittsburgh. The Pirates they're nothing. You can sweep the Pirates. You're not going to face Paul Skeens. You can sweep the Pirates and feel better about where you are going into July. Paul Skeens just went head-to-head with Jacob Mizorowski today. So you'll miss Paul Skeens, and you'll have an opportunity to go to Pittsburgh, get away for a bit, win that. And then when you look at July, they come home and face Milwaukee. And then it's 4th of July weekend against the Yankees. And you got to beat the Yankees, right? You got to bounce back and beat the Yankees. It's going to be turned up. And Milwaukee, they're no slouch either. They're in second place. They're 2.5 back. But you have some good competition coming up. So it's very important that the Mets beat the Braves today and split the series, and then take the series, maybe sweep the Pirates, and then you step back up in weight class a little bit against the Brewers and the Yanks. Now for the Yankees, what I'll say for the Yankees is July is not going to be like, if people are saying we're already in the dog days, people are saying we're all like this struggle can continue. You face the Blue Jays in Toronto, and then you got to go to Citi Field and face the Mets. You got the Mariners and Cubs. There are good teams on the way here before you get to the All-Star break. Don't be 1 foot into the break, or this team can keep losing and go on a real swoon and a bad stretch. So the Yankees got to build off of it. They need to beat the A's, and then they need to go on the road and have a better road trip. But it is not going to get easier. Later in the month, you face Tampa for 4 at home. And earlier I was talking about Tampa and how, they're having conversations right now. And why are they having these conversations right now? Because Tampa is winning games. Tampa's won a lot of their games recently. I saw today this is their 7th shutout. I think they've won something like 22 of their last 30. And they're having these conversations right now. Where are they going to play postseason baseball? The Rays have had early talks with MLB about where they could play their home games in the ALCS and World Series if they were to make it that far. They're currently 1 game behind the Yankees, so they're thinking this is a reality. I don't know. That should bother you some. They play in George M. Steinbrenner Field, the Yankees spring training home, and they're having conversations about, hey, like, we think we're good enough to beat the Yankees, win this division, make a run in the postseason, and like I don't know. We'll see. The Yankees should have swept them. You remember Devin Williams blew that game. All right, run out of time. Let's break it down here. 888-808-1019. Last call. 4 calls. Keith McPherson on the fan. I'll sprinkle in a couple more things. I did want to speak on Ketel Marte and that whole situation. And also I had some Knicks notes in my notes alongside the NBA draft. So if I don't get any calls, I've got enough to fill the rest of the time. But if you would like to speak to me, dial 888-808-1019. We'll be right back. Yo, so my other camera froze. This is my MacBook camera. Let me see what happened here. There we go. So I have the 4K Elgato camera and this MacBook camera, which is also 4K, I believe. I have the newest MacBook. The cameras are pretty good in it. But I'd rather have, more of this shot, which I can also like zoom out. Like, can't do that with the other one. The other one's like right up under me. Okay, let me lock this and keep this here. Okay. All right, let me try and hit the chat. Bruh. Hey, one thing I got to tell you guys, it is hard to eat right. It is hard to work out. But anything worth having comes with a level of difficulty. I can't tell you how much it will help you mentally, physically, and professionally being in shape. I just saw an old friend of mine and how much weight he's put on. And like, I don't know how to tell him, like, bro, you're getting up there in age. Before you know it, you're 40, you're 50, and you can become a prisoner in your own body. You can literally be at the mercy of your own body where like your back can go out, or you don't have the energy or stamina to walk or walk upstairs. It is so important to get a hold of your diet and working out. I'm telling you, yo. I'm telling you. If you want to live long, you'll have a clearer mind, you'll sleep better, you'll have more energy naturally, and you don't realize how it helps you. I know it helps me for a fact. And I'm blessed. I have genetics, but I also have work ethic. Like, you know, PSA, if you can prioritize eating correctly and working out, it will help you in so many different ways. Let me see where we were in the chat. Where would we be without Freed? Jazz needs to chill. He doesn't need to get tossed over arguing balls and strikes. Let's not forget the Dodgers series in LA. Yeah, how could we? We'll never forget. Smart. Trevi was smart this whole series. He was trolling them the whole series. He trolled Judge with the walk-up song. He trolled Rodon with the walk-up song. Yeah, we're a long way from Nolan Ryan's era. I would love to interview Rodon. I tell him to his face, we need more. We need more. If you're huffing and puffing, you need to run some more. Land of the Freed. I don't know if I still have the Land of the Freed shirt here. I do. I always forget to promote my own merch. Land of the Freed. That's especially now coming up with 4th of July. I think I'll throw it in the chat. I just put the link in the chat. I think promo code for you guys, KM10 for 10% off. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this guy. Amber, have a good one. All right, here we go. Let's get back to it. Okay. Right back at it on the Fan in New York, my last 14 minutes or so right here. Keith McPherson, your nighttime host on the Fan, another KM to AM, talking sports. You know, the Mets win, the Yankees win, but, you know, even with that Yankee win, there's still things to talk about that aren't necessarily celebrations and all positive, but you take the win. I was happy to watch a win tonight. They need to keep winning. They need to have more nights like that than not. Same thing for the Mets. And it was eerily similar again, how they had the same scores at the same time, 6-1, 7-1, how they had the same amount of runs scored, the same amount of hits. We know these are good teams. We know how much money these players make. We know who these players are. We knew Juan Soto wasn't going to slump. We knew Juan Soto was going to have multi-home run games. We knew Jeff McNeil could play center field like that, I guess. But ultimately, you know, we hold these teams to such a high standard. They have to have a standard. There has to be a standard of winning, a standard of excellence. It is expected. And when you pay all that money for parking, when you pay all that money for tickets, when you pay all that money for concessions, you pay all that money for merch, you do that expecting to go to the ballpark and win, and go to the postseason and win, And we are desperate and starved for a championship here. And like the only thing like that I wouldn't mind about a Subway Series, because everybody keeps mentioning that, right? World Series back on. The Yankees won tonight. The Mets won. Now we can go back to talking about the Subway Series. I don't need it, but I wouldn't mind it because it would guarantee us a parade in New York. I wouldn't mind it because no matter who wins, there's going to be a parade. Tony's in Montreal on the Fan next. What's up, Tony?
How you doing, Keith? I was listening to you earlier, and you were talking about Steinbrenner. And, when I was growing up, Steinbrenner was like I guess he was like a vortex of controversy when he was running the Yankees. But he changed the game of baseball because he was not only willing to bring the Kurt Floods of other teams and the free agents. He didn't back down from the idea of free agents. He created the demand for it, and he paid for the players, and he went after the best. And it's hard for me because I look at the Steinbrenner years as the years that were the golden years, because Steinbrenner was interested in winning everything. If he was in the American yacht race, he wanted to win it. He did win it. If he's going to go in, he's going to build the best stadiums. He did that. If he was going to build the best boats and ships, he was going to do that. So Steinbrenner was a winner, and he brought that winning attitude. And he wasn't afraid to hire the best baseball players. He went after Reggie Jackson. And, he had an ego. He fired Billy Martin 9 times or something like that. But he knew he needed Billy Martin to win. So Steinbrenner, I think, was the prototype for the new manager, the new ownership type that brought baseball to the level that we're at today. Without Steinbrenner, there would be no love of free agency, and there would be nothing as to what you're talking about. There would be no $700 million players. Steinbrenner is the new era of baseball, and we don't give him enough credit. We don't give the Steinbrenner family enough credit. And I think that the Steinbrenner family is one of the most astute and dedicated baseball families that run baseball in the international baseball and American League. And, I appreciated your comments. I thought that you were bang on. What do you think of that, my friend?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tony. I think we give George Steinbrenner I won't say way too much, but more than enough credit. So much so we don't talk about any of the negative or the bad. I leave George out of it, and I always encourage you to leave him out of it. It's been a long time. But as far as his approach, his, not sparing any expense, him wanting to win and wanting the best players to be Yankees, how he felt about the New York Yankees, love that. Yeah, love that. Agree with that. And they got to somehow get back to that. They got to somehow get back to like the history and the tradition and the pride of the Yankees, like really meaning something. They have enough talent on this team to win the World Series this year, and they can add talent. But I don't think they'll do it because I think that these guys are too comfortable. I think that these guys are soft. I think that these guys go through the motions because they're told, hey, it's a long season, it's rough. It's hot out there. Oh, the fans are tough on you. It's New York. Like, the fans are tough on you, but the fans also treat you like gods. When you play well, that place is packed. When you play well, all of you, we make you guys instant celebrities. Luke Weaver's been around for a year. Instant celebrity. If a guy has a hot week in Yankee Stadium, they're viral sensations. We just expect the best, The fans are crazy. And, the craziest fans in Yankee Stadium back when the Yankees were winning World Series were known as the Bleacher Creatures. And there's some tall tales and some wild stories of what the Bleacher Creatures were like. And today in the Bleacher Creatures Facebook group called Box Seat Suck, the sheriff, Thomas Brown, wrote about Ketel Marte. And he wrote about how, we used to chase guys out of right field. Used to make these guys flash the middle finger. Used to even make these guys want to come fight during BP. And, what he was alluding to was like, wow, like a fan made Ketel Marte cry. He's like, I like Marte, but that's not a good look. Now, I don't feel that way. And I understand all that being a man, and I don't think crying makes you less of a man, and I damn sure don't think someone speaking on your deceased mother who died tragically in an accident, like if that brings you to tears in the heat of a moment in the game that somebody would actually do, I don't think that's a bad look at all. I don't think that makes you less of a man or less tough. I think that's real. I think that's super real. And what we come to find out is that this was a 22-year-old kid who probably had too much to drink. When I was in the fan cave, there's a guy named Stanton Jones, one of my best friends. He's a White Sox fan. He represented the White Sox in the fan cave. And I remember cheering up because the White Sox came and got him, literally hired him before the fan cave experience was over. He was allowed to leave New York, leave the fan cave to go to the White Sox and interview. He came back to the fan cave and told us like they were going to hire him to be in their like ticket sales department. So then once he got that job, I started going to the south side of Chicago and going to their like Audi Club, their Legends. I've been to what used to be U.S. Cellular Field. Now it's Guaranteed Low Rate Field. I've been there probably 5-6 times. And if you've ever been to the south side of Chicago, and if you've ever sat in their lower bowl area, you're very close to the players. They can hear you. You can hear them. Everybody can hear everything. And when that place doesn't sell out, it's super hollow. And so when it's White Sox Diamondbacks and there's a drunk 22-year-old who yells something and probably did the research to find out about Ketel Marte's deceased mother, I just think it's foul. I think there's got to be a line. It's one thing to be chanting and yelling things from the bleachers in the 90s. The bleachers in Yankee Stadium is no longer like that. And this guy, I saw it last night and I didn't speak on it because I was kind of on the way out of here. It happened in last night's game or 2 nights ago now. But I wrote online where I saw it. I was like, that's foul. They need to find that fan. You don't get to just yell something because you're protected by the fence and being 10 rows back and this guy can't come get to you or do something. Like, that's personal. You crossed the line. I'm like, what if they did hold this fan in the ballpark and say, hey, you got to go downstairs. We're going to put you in the hallway with Ketel Marte for 5 minutes. Let you guys sort that out. See how tough you are. So the White Sox did the right thing. There was this thing that they put up on their scoreboard. Baseball is family. The White Sox community supports Ketel Marte. And I'm sure some of you saw the Diamondbacks manager, Tori Lavulu, and you know how he turned around and was pointing, hey, get that guy out of here, and how he consoled his player. Marte is one of the better players in baseball. And I'm sure this is a pain point for him by the way that he was overcome with emotion. There's got to be a line. Like how do you, I just don't know how you go to a game and you think that's what I'm going to do to try to get this guy off his game. That's what I'm going to do to heckle this guy. Like, his mother died in a car crash. His mom died in a car crash. That's a terrible way to lose somebody. His mom died in a car crash in 2017. And I don't know the date of it, but who knows? It doesn't matter. If you've ever lost somebody, you know that grief can hit you any day. It could be a year exactly, 5 years exactly, a year and a day or a month. I just think that's foul. And so what they did was they banned this kid. And not just from going to White Sox games. Like, you're banned from every ballpark now. And with the technology they have, like, they can do that. They can actually keep you out of all 30 ballparks. All 30 major league ballparks have banned this guy. So hopefully you don't like baseball that much. That go in there to be a jackass and yell something to a player to kind of try to get him off his game, or I don't know. I thought that was foul. I'm glad that they banned this kid. And, you know, the rest of the people that were there, or the other fans, I saw 167 fans donated to the Diamondbacks Foundation in honor of Ketel Marte's mother. And, you know, people are kind of banding together, but I just think that's crazy, man. I don't know where people get off. I do know where people get off. Because we live in this weird-ass society now where this internet culture has some of these kids, a 22-year-old kid, thinking they're protected. There used to be a time where, like, your words had repercussions. Where if you say something about somebody, like you might get punched in the mouth. These kids now write things on the internet so freely. They take shots at people that have status or fame so freely without any type of regard for anything. Like, because they're most of them are anonymous and protected by anonymity and being behind the screen. I think a lot of these guys forget that, and they come to the ballpark shouting stuff like that. Like the first thing they should have did was held him in the stadium. Say, yo, when the game's over, you're gonna go meet Ketel Marte. You're gonna go apologize to him, and whatever happens, happens. See if you do that again. I don't think you would. I don't think you'd be so tough. I don't think you'd be. I don't think you'd be like that face to face with this professional athlete, 22-year-old kid in the South Side of Chicago. And hey, I know they drink over there. I'm assuming this guy was drunk, but that doesn't make it right either. People got to be better. Even in Yankee Stadium, not yelling stuff, but like the fans that grab Mookie Betts. I remember talking about that. There's got to be a line. There's got to be an invisible line between the fans and the players, and just a level of decency and respect. There's not much of that anywhere anymore. And lastly, as I got a couple minutes here, there was a report out today that both Mikal Bridges and Mitchell Robinson have surfaced in trade discussions. Frank Isola reported that. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I mean, Mikal Bridges, what you gave up for Mikal Bridges to flip him after 1 year, I don't know how much truth there is to that. I don't think that would be the right thing. But, now, as we're seeing the Knicks look for coaches, the Knicks will interview Pelicans assistant coach James Borrego. And, I mean, I guess now they're casting such a wide net. The last name that we heard before this guy was the Timberwolves assistant coach, Micah Nori. So now they went from asking teams to interview their head coaches that are under contract to now randomly checking on assistant coaches. I guess they're going to interview as many people as possible. I guess they're going to just similar to like the Jets. And I think the Jets got the right guys, but like I remember the Jets talking to so many people. I'm like, either you talk to so many people that you don't know exactly what you're looking for, or you talk to so many people that you collect enough data that you do find exactly what you're looking for. Like, no, we don't want this. We don't want that. And we've arrived at exactly what we want. And we've arrived at the end of my show. Thanks for rocking with me. Shout out to everybody in the chat on YouTube and on Twitch. We've got 1,525 people watching at 2 a.m. I know there's so many of you listening that don't call in, but shout out to all the callers. CMAC is coming up next. I think we'll do the 5-hour KM to AM at 7 p.m. So looking forward to that. Stay tuned. Keith McPherson out. You're listening to The Fan. Sports Radio 101.9 FM.